Hello everyone. Hello. Sorry, I was just faffing around getting things sorted. Let me just check everything's... Yep, and nothing's a problem. Hello Ryan. Hello Avan. Hello Michelle. Hello Adriana. Hello everyone else who's here. Hello Eliza. Hello Replayed. Hello Diggsy. I've just recorded a TikTok, so... sorry, not a TikTok. I've recorded a YouTube video, which I'll edit tomorrow now. Hello. Sorry, I was just faffing around. Hello everyone. Let me just check everything's... Yeah, I'm kind of just... hello Ryan. Hello Avan. Hello Michelle. Ready to... Oh, you can hear me twice. Sorry, you can hear me twice. Ignore hearing me twice. Ignore hearing me twice. Very nice. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. I should set up, like, I told people at my book club to watch you. Well, what is your book club cover? If it's books about the Middle East, perhaps it's a good idea. Yeah, don't worry. The audio will be fixed now, so that's just my fault. I didn't post that I was streaming today. I don't know, would people be interested in me uploading, like, small parts of the stream for people to watch at later dates? Hold on, let me just... So I guess I can just begin with something that I really wanted to talk about, but I get maybe... Sorry, excuse me, I should probably wait until there's more people in here. I can show you some funny tweets that I've been cooking. So Ethan was talking about something to do with Anissa going to the iDubbbz, taking someone to the Cheesecake Factory or something, and I said that Ethan struggles to understand regular dating because his first date with Hila was on a raid of Ramallah. Now I'm hoping that will wind him up, so I thought that was a good tweet. But yeah, we were reading Wretched of the S. Nice, good book. Okay, cool. Well, I thought about I thought you were saying something about my voice being too loud. But yeah, I think that, like, for example, when I was talking about the aid distribution hubs the other day, like, I thought maybe I probably should have uploaded that. Sorry, let me just fix my checks. I've been recording. Is there anything else I need to fix? I need to turn on my thing. Oh, goodness me. Hi chat, hi Chris. Hello. Nothing else. What did I join to? Just me showing off my tweets and showing off how hilarious I am. Yeah, I mean, his crash out will never end, sadly. I don't think it'll ever end. His crash out has basically just been unequivocally supporting the state of Israel to do genocide, and then saying, I don't support genocide. Has he posted any more stories? I bet he's posted 1 billion. Someone called Vadim. Hey, it's Vadim. The tweet about the gold sheets was incredible. I've never seen anything like it. The tweet about edible... I'm just trying to see if I can find... This tweet was unbelievable. Sorry, this story was just unbelievable. What the hell was this about? You are gilded with edible gold sheets, and underneath you are corroded and rusted. Like an old bucket fished out of a lake, and like a fished out bucket, you carry a swamp water full of pond scum. But you're not even a useful bucket. You have holes, and from the corrosion, you spill disease-ridden importable water with every step. Everywhere you go is marked by foul-smelling sewage water and slime. When those that you carry water for smell you, they fear people will suspect it's they who stink. And we all conclude, in unison, it's best to put the scum bucket back in the swamp. Is bucket like an offensive term towards women in the US, or is that just sort of in the UK? Like in the UK, it's a semi sort of offensive term to call a woman. So, but I wouldn't put it past Ethan. But I mean, it was a very interesting tweet to just story to put out. I have no idea. I have no idea why you would tweet that, or what kind of sense it makes, or I don't know. I don't know why he's so upset, or why she's like a bucket. It's ChatGPT 100%. So I asked, should we spend the stream just asking ChatGPT, asking it to write a story about someone being a bucket? I mean, like, all these people treat ChatGPT like it's someone that knows. Yeah. That's how it's an insult in the UK. Mediocre, violist. It's exactly. It could be. That's exactly the same thing that it means. Basically, it means that you have like a lot of sex, and that it's usually a degrading term towards women. But I don't know. I don't know why you'd say those words. I don't think there's any coherency with those. There is something that I want to react to. Would people be interested in watching the Sippy Hotovelli, who's the UK's ambassador to Israel and is like deranged? She hold on. So this is the UK's ambassador to Israel, who was Impact video. I don't know if I'll do another Impact video, but I mean that sounds like very interesting Zionist propaganda. But So Sippy Hotovelli has like a problem with. Hold on, I'll see if I can find. There you go. Yes, Hotovelli held a hearing in the Women's Advancement Committee on Jewish Assimilation in Israel. How did this mythical beast claims there is 100,000 mixed families of Jews and non-Jews? I doubt there are much more than 1,000 unless she counts in immigrants, blah, blah, blah. One of the important goals of the Advancement Committee is the advancement, presumably, Jewish identity. Unfortunately, the phenomenon of mixed marriages happens particularly on the female side when Jewish women marry Muslims. So she's quite an interesting character, to be honest. I haven't seen the Norman Finkelstein, Benny Morris one. I kind of wanted to watch that. There's quite a lot of those. I don't think this is one person, because I don't think it is just this Goobis guy who's asking about the Viking pirate thing. I don't know what it means. But yeah, so in the name of feminism, the Knesset now promotes Judeo-Nazism. Oh yeah, it's called Lahava, I think. Yeah, this is the organization. It like works to prevent assimilation between marriages between Jews and non-Jewish people. It's pretty fucking mad, you know. It has an intermarriage focus denouncing marriages between Jews and non-Jews forbidden by Orthodox law. And also Benzi Gopstein. These are all like literally just fans of Meir Kahane, like the most extreme Israeli, and the most extreme sort of Zionist in really recent history. But yeah, she's very interested in this kind of stuff. She doesn't like it much. Sorry, I'm just going to move that a tiny bit. Electronic Intifada is life. Nice. Kahanism is now mainstream. Kahanism is indeed mainstream. Kahanism is very much mainstream. Kahanism was always quite mainstream, though. It was just kind of how you would implement it. I think support for expulsion in Israel has always been a bit on anti-racial marriage back in the day in the US. So it's kind of different. So my friend did once give me an explanation of a lot of Jewish people, because of fears of the Holocaust, are like kind of worried about like the number of Jewish people dying out, and Kahane always framed it in this way. He'd always say stuff like people won't have a reason to be Jewish if they assimilate, if they start like marrying non-Jewish people. And also, thank you for the mustache comment. I'm in the process of growing one. I haven't shaved in a few days. I've never grown one because I fear like appearing on camera with just like a terrible mustache and everyone being like, you have no mustache. But I think I can actually grow one because my mustache is quite thick. A beard, on the other hand, is an impossibility at this point. So but yeah, So it's basically to do with this. The Arabs, given the whole "the Arabs are out to get our daughters" shtick was one of Kahana's best sellers, their presence is understandable. So this is like the UK ambassador, and she kind of believes this. So let's just watch her. Even if we don't end up watching it, I feel like it's worth seeing her recent just bangers.
We never target civilians. So this question is irrelevant.
How many children have you killed?
I don't really understand one bit about this. Why is Piers not in the studio, but she is?
Piers, Israel is not killing children. Israel is not killing children. Hamas is using them as human shields.
Israel is killing children every single day.
Piers.
I'm not sure what that comment means, but I believe the Khazar theory has been debunked.
This is a blood label you're putting on Israel. You know it's not true.
What? No, it's not actually. And what you're trying to do is be very weaselly with your words.
No, I'm not.
I'm surprised she didn't accuse him of anti-Semitism there. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, she's definitely going to say that's anti-Semitic.
The truth is, you are killing a lot of children. You would argue you're doing...
why it's caused?
Hang on, let me finish.
Because Hamas is using them as human shields, and you know that.
Let me finish my question to you.
Yeah, it's kind of mad as well, because it's just not true. Israel just kills children because it doesn't care, because it wants to target all Palestinians, because it's a war, well, it's a genocide. It's not a war against, like, a specific group.
You are killing a lot of children on a daily basis. That is indisputable. My interesting question for you is, how come you know exactly how many Hamas terrorists you've killed, but you have no idea how many children you've killed?
Piers, I will give you the answer, because when you are accusing a country of killing children, it sounds to all the people that are listening to us as if Israel wakes up in the morning and says, "Oh, let's kill let's kill innocent people now."
I mean, I genuinely think that there are quite a lot of Israelis who do actually wake up and think, yeah, it would be a good idea to kill children. Like, I don't think that's an exaggeration. I think that there are a lot of soldiers who serve in the Gaza Strip. In fact, let me just pull up one. Hold on. My friend sent me this, so shout out Tony Soprano, love her. I saw it as well on someone else, but that's where I'll get it from, so got to give a big shout out to her. Look at this tweet. Instagram story by an Israeli soldier posted a few hours ago, captioned 600 days of fighting, thankful for the privilege to kill, murder and annihilate the ugliest creatures in nature. Another photo he posted that seems to be taken inside a Palestinian home. Ophir, my love, he captioned it, love you from Gaza to the moon.
This is not what Israel is doing. Israel
But you are killing a lot of children. And my question is, how come you know how many terrorists you've...
Thank you, Tony Soprano, lover. You are my best friend. Thank you, Tony Soprano, lover. You are the rent payer. You are the legend.
Are you familiar with the international law? Are you familiar with that at all? Because the international humanitarian law says very clearly, as long as you're targeting civilian targets, you're allowed...
It's also just very weird to bring up international humanitarian law when, you know, you're like, when you just don't care about it normally.
To attack hospitals that you know they're terrorists. No, but you're not answering my question. Israel is not deliberately killing children. And this accusation is a fake thing that you keep on saying again and again when you know we're a democratic country, cares about human life.
I just asked you a simple question.
At the same time, Hamas is deliberately using the children as human shields.
It's also just like, I mean, it is just kind of mad. I will again pull this. I will again pull this up because I think that this was just so poignant. The thing I read the other day, like I'd never heard someone say this before, which is probably detriment to my own detriment. And I mean, I totally agree with the sentiment, regardless if I've heard this or not. It's from Ericat talking about the Great March of Return. I'll pull up the exact title in a second. Hold on. In 1927, Elbridge Colby developed this legal analysis to justify the exclusion of native and colonized people from the scope of international law regulating armed conflict. Natives, Colby argued, do not absolve the individual decencies of civilized regular soldiers, nor do they distinguish between combatants and non-combatants, in their own as well as in enemy personnel. In effect, Western regular forces must use more brutal means, which he characterises as a humanitarian good because the loss of life is probably less than might have been sustained in a prolonged operations of a more polite character. Like, it's just the same thing. Like, it's just the same thing. Like, you can see it here. This is from the Sovereign Right to Kill, a critical appraisal of Israel's shoot-to-kill policy in Gaza, Noor Erekat. It's very good. It's very good.
I don't deny anything you say about Hamas. They're everything you say they are, probably worse.
I mean, I just don't think all the things she says. I mean, she literally says Hamas are like literally the worst thing on earth while she supports Israel and works for their government.
I despise Hamas. They are a despicable terrorist organization.
So help us with...
So you're talking to her. Would you call her a despicable terrorist?
In this war, if you're so despising Hamas...
Hold on, let me just pull up. This is another one of her. This is another greatest hit.
A few days ago, you have 2 doctors in Gaza who have 10 children, and 9 of them are killed in a bombardment by your forces. That doesn't make people feel...
Also, why is this only in 624p?
Oh, this is all going great. It makes people think that you're waging a systematic destruction, not just of property and of land, but also of children. And that's what's happening. The percentage of children that you're killing.
Yeah, and even then, actually, just on that topic, like, notice how he's saying the exact same thing. Of, like, he's like, oh, I think they're barbaric, monstrous, evil terrorists, everything you think they are. And it's like, okay, Piers, regardless of what you're saying, you're reproducing her discourse. If you do not repeat the exact same claims against the IOF, in fact, you should repeat them stronger, because the IOF has killed so many more children, so many more people. Hamas didn't use starvation as a weapon of war. Israel actually regularly uses human shields. The human shields response is utter bullshit, but even if we accepted that as an excuse for the bombing, it doesn't make sense of the many Palestinian children who are shot in the head. Exactly, Tony Soprano lover. So many children are shot by Israel in the head. So many children are being starved to death. You cannot just say, like, oh, we don't target children, when you have an overarching campaign that just bombs children, and also you starve children. You are starving the whole society in Gaza, including children. You are directly targeting children with genocidal policies.
Compared to the percentage of you're killing of Hamas terrorists, what is it? Do you know? Do you know how many children you've killed?
The green screen is so bad. I know someone said it was like a 2006 ass green screen. I totally agree with you.
Answer me that one question. Do you know how many Hamas terrorists you've killed and how many children you've killed? Do you know those 2 numbers?
I know the numbers that came from the IDF. I know the numbers that came from a very established
give me the 2 numbers.
The established think tank that she's about to reference, by the way, it will be the Henry Jackson Society. The Henry Jackson is not an established think tank. It is not a think tank that you should hold on, that you should say, like, like, by the way, I'll show you how easy this think tank is to fucking buy off. Like, here's an article from 2017. The news that hold on, let's look. Let's see where this... the article's gone. But it talks about the Henry Jackson Society was paid by the Japanese embassy in London to conduct a smear campaign of anti-Chinese propaganda, spreading lies. It's kind of mad. Budget went to getting Piers hair plugs. Does he have hair plugs? I don't know.
Wait a second. We killed 30,000. We killed 30,000 terrorists.
Oh, 100%. Like, as the person who said that Piers Morgan should be on the Julius Streicher list, you can watch my video about Douglas Murray. One of the key things I'll note about Piers Morgan is Piers went on fucking holiday and then had Douglas Murray host his show. Like, Douglas Murray is literally just embedded with the Israeli government. So, like, kind of quite mad, you know. You had, like, an Israeli government propagandist.
In phase 1 of the war. Since the war is back, I don't have the numbers. But let me tell you one thing. We never target civilians. So this question is irrelevant.
How many children have you killed?
Piers, Israel is not killing children. Israel is not killing children. Hamas is using them as human shields.
It's just not true, by the way. It just would not constitute human shields.
Children every single day.
Piers, this is a blood label you're putting on Israel. You know it's not true.
What? No, it's not actually. And what you're trying to...
Also, by the way, I always think of this, like, when you hear the term blood libel or ritual murder libel, also blood accusation, is an anti-Semitic canard which falsely accuses Jews of murdering Christians in order to use their blood in the performance of religious rituals. I mean, I'm sure that you can find someone who would say that, like some fucking weirdos who say that shit, but they're just, like, anti-Semitic. Like, most people are saying, hey, Israel is killing children because it's a settler colony that does not have space for the Palestinians and therefore targets them. Like, it's not like some... It's not like some mad thing. It's not like some mad thing to say, you know.
Do is be very weaselly with your words.
No, I'm not.
The truth is,
Exactly, and as well, by the way, I'll say the same thing for the loaner box thing. We'll actually just pull up another video. Sorry, we've got to go through my favourite videos.
What is the real
So this is recently from The Economist.
death toll in Gaza? Counting deaths in any war zone is a grim and difficult task. Since the war began after Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, Gaza's Ministry of Health has issued regular tallies. It says that nearly 54,000 Palestinians have been killed by the fighting. But new research suggests the true number is much higher. Tens of thousands.
It's, by the way, also the funniest thing is the thing that The Economist relies on is just not oh god. The thing that it relies on is not new research. It's the fucking Lancet article from months ago.
Thousands of people may be missing from the official count. The health ministry's figures have been fiercely contested, in part because it's run by Hamas.
I have no confidence in the number that...
Independent investigators found the ministry's figures to be broadly accurate after the fighting stopped. This war is different. The sheer scale and duration of the fighting is greater than those of past conflicts in Gaza.
I fear listening to this because this will get the video fucking demonetized because it's got noise in it, but I don't know.
Many hospitals, a crucial source for death data, have been destroyed. And what is the real death toll in Gaza? Fighting stopped. The scale and duration of the fighting is greater than those of past conflicts in Gaza. Many hospitals, a crucial source for death data, have been destroyed.
This is also, by the way, just the probably the most important point. Who is counting the death toll? Who is the person counting the death toll?
And recent research...
Like, Israel has killed the vast majority of doctors and all of these things, you know?
...suggests that the ministry's reported figure...
Thank you for coming, 40 blocks under.
...for this war is incorrect.
It's weird that the numbers haven't updated much. Are there just no one left to report it? I mean, it's not just that there's no one left to report it. I literally got banned from TikTok for saying this. During every single genocide, it is very hard to produce a list of exactly the number of people who are dead, especially when it is ongoing. Now, in Gaza, it probably will be producible, but actually, even then, if an entire family is killed and there's, like, no one left to report, like, individuals from that family, or say like the vast majority of a family is killed and then there's only a small amount of them left and then like a considerable number of them who are still alive get killed like one by one or in like small batches. Basically what happens is no one knows who died, you know?
It's probably too low. The new study...
Perhaps also the most insane part about the Gaza genocide toll is that is that on November 6th, the death toll was already 10,000, not even a month after October 7th. And you hear all of these people who go, my God, they had protests straight after October the 7th. Like, you know, Israel had killed 10,000 people within a month. I think that those protests were very justified. Hold on, I'll show you the Lancet traumatic. Okay, here you go. And by the way, everyone always gets like, oh, when I posted about this, about the death toll, even though I explained clearly why it is this way, people still were like upset. They were like, oh, you didn't quote the other Lancet one, which estimates it's much higher. This one is exclusively through... this one is done exclusively through traumatic injury. So they estimate 65,000 deaths, and this was only up to June 30th, 2024. So there was many months after this. Right, I think you're genuinely just anti-Semitic, so I'm just gonna block you. I don't want to hear that. I don't care. Like, honestly, you've said some pretty strange things, and you know, like moving on to saying that this is actually something that people do. I'm not accepting that. That's just obscene. Like the only tiny part of that I think has any merit is saying that a lot of Israelis refer to Palestinians as Amalek, because that is something that you can actually say. That I remember in one of my recent videos that there's something in from like the 1980s where it says that Palestinians are compared to, in religious exegeses, to Amalek, and obviously Netanyahu said called Palestinians Amalek, and I think people do go out and try and wipe Palestinians away, but that kind of stuff, no thank you. Like, no thank you. It's just not on. Yo, I just saw about the mosquito procedure. Is the mosquito procedure just using Palestinians as human shields? I think it is, isn't it? Procedure. Mosquito protocol. Yeah. His Democracy Now! Is talking about it. But also, do you want to know something fucked about this mosquito procedure? And like people who kind of talk about Israel and they're like, God, Israel's lost control a bit. They've gone a bit crazy. One of the things that I have to say particularly about that is... Hold on. This is a Bet-Selem report, and there's a much longer one which I'd struggle to find. It's on one of my channels. It's on one of my videos called Israel Loves Human Shields. But it was talking about this. Basically, the use of civilians is not an independent initiative by soldiers in the field, but the result of a decision made by senior military authorities during the Second Intifada, and particularly during military incursions into Palestinian population centres, such as Operation Defensive Shield in 2002. Use of Palestinians as human shields became open military policy. As a result, in May 2002, the Adalah Legal Center petitioned Israel's High Court of Justice against this policy on behalf of 7 human rights organizations. 2 days after the petition was filed, the state informed the court that the IOF has decided to immediately issue an unequivocal order to all forces in the field, absolutely forbidding them to use any civilians at all as a living shield against gunfire or attacks by the Palestinian side. However, the state argued that ordering civilians to direct individuals to come out of their house does not constitute the use of the former as human shields. Nevertheless, the IOF decided to clarify that even this act is forbidden in situations which the commander in the field believes that a civilian is liable to be injured. So it's like they can just basically do it. Like they could still do it. Sorry, I'm just throwing away my zin. I'm getting zinned up. I'm getting zinned up to all hell. But yeah, like so like the mosquito procedure and stuff, and like when you hear someone who's talking about human shields, like it's bullshit. This is what using human shields looks like. And there's like a story here about some guy who was killed during it, and also that I think that this will include it, but it's definitely in my video about this. I don't want to look through like loads of stuff to find it now. But oh, actually, wait. I could probably just hold on. Let me see if I can just find it quickly from the description. I assume I'll have put it in the description. So hold on. Here you go. It's this report. This report has a very detailed use of human shields. By the way, I just want to remind you that this was only 3 years before Hila Klein was in the IOF, and Ethan is proud of her serving in it. Just want to note that. It's no. It's not a 23-year-old protocol. The first example of a use of human shields by the IOF is in 1956, apparently, during the Israeli incursion into Gaza. They used children as human shields. It's not like a new policy. It's something that's been going on for decades. It's not. All I mean is that it's ultra rare. What do you mean it's ultra rare? What's ultra rare? But it happens once in a blue moon. What are you talking about? I'm Jewish. Got exactly one anti-Semitic comment from someone who sided with Palestine in a decade of talking about it. Oh, I see. I thought you were talking about the human shields, and I was like, no. I mean, also, midday meds, I would say, like, it's just people being strange. Like, there's always going to be people who want to latch on to talk about Palestine, especially when it was at its peak. And people always want to launder their image and be like, oh, I'm actually a good person, and make themselves feel better about the shit that they spew. And so you do get, like, these parasites who kind of like cling on to the Palestinian cause. But what you'll notice is like, and this same goes for like a lot of Zionists, is all of these people just hate like specifically Jewish people. Like, they don't care about, like, black people, they don't care about any other minority, women, all of these things. They literally only care specifically about, like, Jewish people. And this is the exact opposite. And the inverse is true of Zionists, in that you have a lot of, like, Zionists who are from, like, a broader field, and are normally right-wingers who spend their time, like, hating on black people, hating on loads of people, and yet, so all of a sudden, they basically believe that all Jewish people are the most oppressed people in the world. You'll notice that there are just these people who latch onto movements, you know? Like, they're doing it for the sake of, like, making themselves feel better. In the same way with Zionists, they feel progressive, and they're like, well, actually, I'm progressive on this when everyone else isn't, even though they hold abhorrent beliefs.
It was not based on the ministry's running death toll. Instead, it analysed 3 detailed...
So this is basically a very succinct and good explanation of this.
...lists naming people killed by traumatic injuries, those caused by bombs and bullets. Each list contained names and usually ages.
Does anyone know how to get this into full screen? I actually don't. I wish I knew.
...and sexes. 2 came from the Ministry of Health, one via hospitals, the other from an online survey where the public could report fatalities. Independent investigators have confirmed that those on the ministry's 2 lists have almost certainly died. The third was compiled by the researchers themselves from social media obituaries. They examined the overlap between the lists.
Also, by the way, look at this part of the study. Age or sex data were missing for 1,014 of the 29,721 total deaths reported by at least one list. 28,257 reported deaths had age and sex data available. 10,499 of those with age and sex data available were female, and 17,758 were male. Children younger than 18 accounted for 9,423, 33.3%. So this is just talking about one list. Look at the percentages of people that were dead. 33.3% were children, you know? It's just mad. And older adults accounted for 1,628. And this is only people dying via bombardment.
If a name that appeared on one list typically appeared on all 3, it would suggest the lists were relatively complete. But if many names were unique to each list, that would suggest each one counted only a share of the dead. The researchers found that the overlap was small. So small, in fact, they calculated the true number of deaths was perhaps 46% to 107% higher than the
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. I mean, I think the toll's much higher.
Ministry's tally. That ratio may have changed, falling.
Nice try with the F4s.
As systems caught up during the ceasefire, for example. But if you assume that the ratio has stayed the same since last June and apply it to the current tally, it would suggest the death toll isn't almost 54,000, but between 78,000 and 112,000. That's roughly 1 in 20 of the territory's
But also, by the way, that means that 10% of the population of Gaza is injured or just dead. Like, that means that 10% of the population is dead or wounded seriously.
War population. This is an estimate and should be treated with caution. The lists used by the study aren't static. The Health Ministry is constantly updating its lists, and any errors in them at the time of the study would affect the estimate. Neither the ministry nor the researchers sought to distinguish civilians from combatants in their figures. If the group is hiding its combat losses...
Sorry, I'm just fucking laughing because one of you said my boy learning to use the computer in real time.
Then Hamas fighters might be missing from the lists, pushing the death toll higher.
Yeah, also, by the way, this is one of the most interesting things. Israel could release a list of every single Hamas fighter by name who was killed. They actually could. They 100% could release every single person who had been killed. They could, who was a member of Hamas, because they would be able to say they allegedly target people using an AI algorithm which generates who is a member of Hamas and such, and yet they don't, which is interesting.
And critically, these lists...
Thank you, Tweezo. Have a nice day.
...are only of those reported as killed by traumatic injuries. They exclude deaths from disease, malnutrition, and lack of medical care. Those would push any death toll higher still.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Yemen death toll stagnated for a really long time. I can't remember what the point someone said it stagnated at, but yeah.
Definitive count of how many have died in Gaza will be difficult, even after the war ends. And that may still be a long way off.
Basically, it's just kind of mad. Oh, now it's too zoomed in. You can now see all of my saved stitches. It's just me. Yeah, I hate this guy. I really hate this guy. Maybe I'll talk about that at some point. But yeah, like the Gaza death toll, there could be an exact example of it, but they choose not for there to be one. Like they choose not for there to be one. So Chris, I'm a 25-year-old boomer who doesn't know how to tell you things on the computer. I put all of my skill points into reading books and being annoying. Nice, me too.
The truth is, you are killing a lot of children.
I'm no expert in the religious justification for it, but basically, in my understanding, the reason that evangelical Christians are so interested in the Zionist project is because they believe that by virtue of all of the Jewish people returning to the state of Israel, that basically, eventually, there will be a return of Jesus Christ. First of all, the Antichrist comes down, rules for 1,000 years, and then I think Jesus comes down, and then it changes, they believe that it'll be like the redemption of the world.
You would argue
you know why it's caused?
Hang on,
because
let me finish.
Hamas is using them as human shields, and you know that.
Let me finish my question to you. You are killing a lot of children on a daily.
You're killing a lot of children on a daily basis. Can you explain to me exactly why you're doing that? I just really need you to help me so I can do it on my show too. Please help me. Please help me. I need to know how to justify it. There's lots of people who are upset and I need to know better ways to justify it. But yeah, I mean, it's all just so pathetic. Like, and I'll just pull this up as well. Like, this is what the UK government posts today, or Hamish Falconer, who is the Minister for the Middle East and North Africa. The Israeli government's approval of 22 new settlements in the West Bank is a deliberate obstacle to Palestinian statehood. The UK condemns these actions. Settlements are illegal under international law, further imperil the two-state solution, and do not protect Israel. It's like, okay, like, you know, they do not protect Israel. Why are you bringing that up, bro? Like, why do we have a relationship? Why is this woman not being expelled from the land? Being expelled from the UK. Like, why do we still have her? If you genuinely believe that this is a violation of international law, why do you want this person to still be in our country? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's very perverse and kind of very weird, you know? Like, it's unbelievable. Also, there's a mad article that I want to cover. I didn't actually read all of this, so I can read it on stream, but there are some insane parts of this article. So a few days ago, Lonabox was with fucking Ethan Klein and saying like, yeah, most actually Israelis, they don't support it. Yes to transfer. 82% of Jewish Israelis back expelling Gazans. A recent survey of Israeli Jews reveals a growing comfort with the idea of forcibly expelling Palestinians, both from Gaza and from within Israel's borders. Like, also, by the way, I told you, I will keep on saying this. If Israel is not stopped now, Israel will expel the population of Gaza, then it will expel the population of the West Bank, and then eventually it'll expel the population of Israel proper. The Nazis didn't get less anti-Semitic, the Nazis got more anti-Semitic. Like, people like to make out as if, you know, the Nazis, they did all of these things at first. Like, the Nazis went on a long way, you know, they went on a long way. Like, the Nazis were in power for a while, and they got more anti-Semitic, and it's just like mad. Like, it's just mad to think that it was like one moment of anti-Semitism. No, it ratcheted up throughout the entire war. Even when there were less Jewish people in the public eye, they got more anti-Semitic. But yeah, commissioned in March by Pennsylvania State U and conducted by Tamir Sorek for the Israeli polling firm Geocartography Knowledge Group, the survey polled a representative sample of 1,005 Jewish Israelis. It posed a series of impolite, which is pretty fucking mad way to phrase, do you want to genocide people, topics typically avoided in mainstream Israeli polling about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. According to the results, 82% supported the expulsion of Gaza's residents, while 56% favoured expelling Palestinian citizens of Israel. By the way, the reason that the Nazis got more anti-Semitic is because whilst there was still societal problems in their society and all the Jewish people had disappeared from it, like, well, what do? You just start to blame them harder. You're like, well, you know, they've done so much bad that even once they're gone, it doesn't fix things. And Israel is very much dependent on the Palestinians, like their social cohesiveness. Like even take October the 7th. It wasn't also like prior to October the 7th, Israel was fragmenting. There were rifts in society, particularly over the concept of whether Israel should be a Jewish or a secular state, basically. And because what is a Jewish state? Like, does that mean that it's only Jewish inhabitants, or does that mean that it's a Jewish religious state, or what does it actually mean? There are different kind of like interpretations and meanings of these things, and so that is like, yeah, it's a fissure, but hating Palestinians is just a unifying thing. Like, just blame the Arabs for every problem in your society. It's great. It's like people in the UK who blame migrants, people in America who blame migrants and trans people. It's much easier to focus on this than confront like the reality of, hey, society is like falling apart, you know, like the world is really falling apart and we're heading into really dangerous and unprecedented times in terms of the climate, like global tensions and all of these things, rather than confront like the anxiety inducing thing of that and like the fact that we have no government who is willing to fix this. It's much easier to just blame another. It's just much easier to do that. You just blame the other, and then also, if you blame an other for making life shit, you basically portray them as someone who enjoys at your expense, who transcends the social boundaries of what's morally acceptable. So Germans, Hitler spoke a lot about how Jewish people did not obey the same sexual boundaries as normal Germans, that they cheated in society, and that they were basically like getting one over on German people. They did the same with black people in America. They said, oh, look at them. They steal good white women in a way us good white men wouldn't. And we do the same today with immigrants. We're like, God, they're always out like they've made our cities unsafe. They do all of this violence and horrible stuff to women without ever being willing to confront this stuff, you know. But yeah, like it's just much easier to blame others. Like it's so much easier to blame Palestinians for the problems of Israeli society being a settler colony than it is to confront what it actually is, you know, like to confront that it's a failure. Yeah. I mean, everywhere in Europe blames migrants. Everywhere in Europe, it's so much easier than confronting these things, you know? Like, it's so much easier. Fascism is a death cult. Once they expel the undesirables, they have to find another to expel from within. Narrowing the group. Well, yeah, because there's no real... Right-wingers will never admit it, but their political enjoyment is entirely premised on taking it away from other people. Create an other who enjoys at your expense and then take away their enjoyment by basically going, oh, well, look, we're going to punish them. And it becomes really fucking fun. It becomes really fun. Punish the migrants. Send them all back. They're the reason our society's degraded. It's not like capitalism demands that we just have a growing number of people here, like a growing number of people who are brought over, made to live in shitty conditions. People don't want to confront that. It's so much nicer to stay within the confines of what's like imaginable capitalism, basically, of like this reality in which we live, rather than saying, actually, this whole system doesn't work, you know? Well, this whole system just does not work, you know? But yeah, Israel will always face this fucking problem of like, what does it do? What does it do once the Palestinians are gone? Like, its entire existence has been premised on, like, marginalising and basically, you know, harming Palestinians. So what do you do once they're gone? You've got nothing going. You've got nothing. There will always be an other... Exactly. French on French racism is a great example. I mean, how do you mean French on French racism? Because isn't a lot of French racism premised on, like, basically Algerians and, like, people from the former French colonies brought over? Or do you mean, like, a southern French versus northern French? I mean, Italy's probably a good example of it, that there's, like, a very... I don't know if it's as pronounced now. I know that economically it is, but in terms of differentiation, perhaps because of migrants, I don't know enough about Italy and such, but in terms of, like, basically you have like a north and south in Italy. Once upon a time, Italy's actually such an interesting country because if you know who Antonio Gramsci is, Antonio Gramsci's Marxism is one of the most interesting and revolutionary in all of Europe because he was from Sardinia, which was basically like a semi-colony filled with people who were generally darker skin and lived in much poorer situations. Back in the day, smaller communities of French people had very specific... Yeah. I mean, just blame another for your problems. Go after the Greater Israel Project. I mean, yeah, maybe, but even the Greater Israel Project is, yeah, I guess, but the Greater Israel Project can kind of be implemented simultaneously, you know? How historical are you talking? Sardinia, yeah. It's like a little place there. Are the Mediterranean French considered spicy? Why? But yeah, like, just look at this. These figures mark a sharp rise from a 2003 survey in which support for such expulsions stood at 45% and 31% respectively. Religious interpretations play a key role in shaping these views. Nearly half of respondents agreed when conquering an enemy city, the IOF should act as the Israelites did in Jericho under Joshua's command, killing all its inhabitants. By the way, it's also very interesting that we kind of always see, like, that we are taught that, like, Muslims are religious fanatics. It's pretty mad that 47% of respondents, and I know it's like a small-ish survey, but I don't think it's unrepresentative, because I don't think most Israelis see Gaza as anything but a problem. I think they see most people from Gaza as genocidal terrorist rape monsters, because that's what their media inculcates into them, and their schooling system and all of these things inculcate into them and teach them. Sardinia has been mentioned in a bad way. Am I too loud, by the way? Let me know. 65% said they believed in the existence of modern-day incarnation of Amalek, the Israelite biblical enemy who God commanded to wipe out. Among those believers, 93% said the commandment to erase Amalek's memory remains relevant today. Rate of Jewish Israelis supporting expulsion. What's blue? Secular. 70% of secular. Haredi, 97%. Orthodox, 90%. Traditional, 91%. Supporting rate expulsion. So that's at least secular. Only 40. Guys, don't worry. 40%. 40%. 40% is, you know, because of intelligence, but an optimist because of will. That is a good quote. Shout out Antonio Gramsci. Chris screaming in the house if he's too loud. Learned a new word, inculcate. I think I used it correctly. But yeah, like, just look at this. Like, 91% of Haredis support expelling all Palestinians, you know? Like, all of them. So Haredis are just ultra-Orthodox. Is this excluding don't knows? No, I think that this is just people who support openly expulsion. That would make total sense. Rate of Jewish Israelis believing that all residents of conquered enemy cities should be killed. Oh, at least it's only 63% of Haredis believe that. This apocalyptic rhetoric has found fertile ground in religious Zionist circles, where leaders have long advocated for such extremes. One of the most influential figures to call for such policies is Rabbi Yitzhak Ginsburg, head of the Od Yosef Chai Yeshiva in the West Bank settlement of Yitzhar. In 2005, just before Israel's dismantling of the Gaza settlements, Ginsburg delivered a sermon near the Knesset that laid out a vision fundamentally at odds with the secular Zionist ideal of a Jewish and democratic state. Ginsburg gained notoriety for his pamphlet Baruch HaGever, Baruch the Man, which praised Baruch Goldstein, the settler who massacred 29 Muslim worshippers in Hebron's Cave of the Patriarchs. Following the assassination of Prime Minister, Ginsburg was placed under administrative detention. He later endorsed a book that sanctioned the killing of non-Jewish women and children. I mean, also in one of my things, hold on, I'll see if I can find it, because it was like religious exigencies. I'll see if I can find this quickly. Oh dear. Oh dear. Is my internet going funny? Let me know if my internet's gone funny. Okay, seems okay. Seems okay. Good. I'm just getting up an article. I'm going to see if I can find it. Oh, what is this? The internet is fucking struggling. Here you go. Right. The religious frontiersmen viewing the West Bank as sacred patrimony and adhering to the promised borders over secure and recognised borders, and their spontaneous settlement movement acting in opposition to the central social institutions, ushered in a new phase of Israeli nationalism. So here it is. Gush Emunim, which means block of the faithful, cultivates an image of the Arab above all as the enemy. At present, Arabs are compared in sophisticated religious exegesis to the 7 Canaanite nations and to Amalek, and in popular utterance to a donkey. This is written in 1984, so it's probably written actually in 1982, because academic things take ages to publish. But yeah, like the idea that this is some like new, unique thing, something that's specific to any specific group is ridiculous. It is utterly ridiculous. It's killing. What's up? My camera is lower. Hold on, let me see. Is that better? But yeah, it's just like saying that this is some new thing. Time to crack the nut was a call to embrace Jewish supremacy. It prepared his followers for mass violence and ethnic cleansing. Policies that 2 days later... I mean, this is, by the way, the thing. For all these people who claim like, yeah, it's just like a little bit of religious extremism. Okay, if your society is actually doing these things and being implemented by the ostensibly secular, the people who are not like this, the people who served in Gaza, the Air Force that maybe isn't all just like religious fanatics, like... What do you mean? Like, there's no way to escape it. Like, Israel is doing these things. And Israel wouldn't be able to expel the Palestinians if it wasn't supported, would it? Like, would it? Like, also, by the way, there's a load of these people who are just fucking... The worst people are always born in the US. Like, genuinely, they're always all these fucking, like, extremist settlers who are just born in America. It's always the fucking case. These Americans, they just love genocide. I think it's because they bring over like an American brand of racism, to be honest. I think they just bring over... I do actually want to move my camera slightly more there, so thank you for noting. Even if it was fine, I don't care. Thank you. What did Bad Empanada mention? Oh shit, I don't really know names right now, but please, if you know the website, share. We must tell them. What do you mean, must tell them? Must tell who? What do you mean? Who are you talking about? What are you talking about? But anyway... So, though he still resides in Kfar Kabad, his greatest influence is among Haredi Jews within the religious Zionist movement. His teachings blend Hasidic mysticism with messianic nationalism, drawing inspiration from Rabbi Abraham Isaac Kook and the revisionist Zionist movement. His appeal even extends to some secular Israelis, drawn to his New Age-inflected ideas with his concept of Jewish psychology. The most radical followers of Ginsburg ideology are called the Hilltop Youth, violent young settlers from illegal outposts who now form an armed militia responsible for frequent attacks. By the way, these people serve in the the Israeli military as well. Like, you know... I think it's just very hard to sit here and say and go like, God, you know, there's extremists on both sides. Like, one set of extremists gets to have fucking nuclear weapons and be the Israeli government. It's kind of a bit of a problem. You know? Yeah. I agree with you. The amount of Israeli soldiers who are around the world, who like tour around Europe, who are on holiday at the same time as you. There was a quote a while ago that I said, and I was like, oh, you know, I heard someone speaking Hebrew and I was a bit worried because it's like, what opinions do they hold? Like, are they an Israeli soldier? Who knows? Who knows whether they've just been doing genocide in Gaza and then they just get to come and spend time in Western society, you know? It's really odd. It's really unusual. But yeah, who now form an armed militia responsible for the killings, blah, 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 could remain in the land as Ger Toshav. So, unlike the early leaders of Gush Emunim movement, who at least nominally accepted the idea that Palestinians could remain in the land as Ger Toshav, a halachic term for a non-Jew living in the land of Israel without political rights, Ginsburg views any Palestinians in the land of Israel as a desecration of God's name. Like, and by the way, we're allied with these people. If you live in a Western country, you are allied with these people. You were in ISIS once. Yeah. I mean, this is just like the maddest religious fanaticism. There is no distinction between this and like ISIS level racism, you know, ISIS level extremism. Ginsburg likened the state of Israel to a nut with 4 shells encasing the fruit. The Jewish people, drawing on Kabbalistic concepts, he described these shells as spiritual impurities, remnants of creation that must be shattered to release the divine spark. While some shells may contain traces of holiness, most are aligned with evil. The Sitra Achra Aramaic for other side. It's just talking about it's just talking more about him. Creates an atmosphere in which speaking in the name of the Torah is seen as anachronistic, primitive, and irrelevant to all conversations to our lives. The legal and justice system encourages assimilation and blurring the differences between Israel and the nations. It receives, so this is basically him saying that, rejecting this, rejecting like basically the secular state, which isn't surprising. The nationalist Haredi movement offers Israelis a religious veneer for erasing Palestinian indigeneity. It provides a language and plan of action for both observant and secular Israeli Jews. The army is the most important and useful of these shells, Ginsburg argues. It is soft and easy to digest. It's cracking. So this is just him talking about his religious. There were some other crazy parts. The wicked act of the people of Gaza underscores their Amalek-like features, he wrote in his Nifleot pamphlet of his on the weekly Torah portion a few weeks after the massacre. These features, he added, demands that we observe the command, blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. You shall not forget it. Total annihilation, not sifting, meaning not checking who is innocent and who is guilty, sacrificing the hostages by refusing any deal to secure their release. Release is a reasonable price to pay for what the rabbi, like Netanyahu, calls total victory. It's just mad. I think I can link archive. So there you go. There's a link to the article if you want to read it. Like, it's mad. It's fucking mad. You must remember what Amalek has done to you. Speaking Hebrew, he's comparing Hamas to the nation of Amalek passage of from the book of Samuel. That passage says to smite Amalekites after the nation launched a vicious surprise attack on the Jewish people. The biblical commandment is to completely destroy all of Amalek. This is just them talking about it. Like, they believe that Palestinians as a whole as Amalek, you know? It's mad. It's mad. And yet, like, yeah, people who make justifications, it's not like just a small thing in Israeli society. If there was a strong segment within the British Army who believed that all black people were like the worst human beings on earth, that were like biblical enemies of whites and should all be killed, I think you'd be like, hey, no one should be in the army. Like, there would be way stronger protests for generations, decades. In Israel, it's just like, yeah, you know, what can you do, really? The secular public's widespread adoption of positions in support of ethnic cleansing and genocide is more evidence of the realization of Ginsburg's vision. To be honest, I think it's actually more the realization of Kahana's. Because Kahana was religious, and Kahana's teachings, but Kahana was just like, expel everyone now, do it now. And he was also involved with these people. And by the way, Kahana was more popular than people make out. Kahana won 1% of the Israeli vote in 1984, but apparently polling suggested that he would have got between 2 and 7, and then he was banned from the Israeli Knesset for inciting racism and just getting up to no good, basically, like doing things to provoke Palestinians. But like, this whole idea that this is just like some new thing, some phenomenon that we can just totally overlook, it's insane. It's not. This is Israel. The secular public's the public has failed to articulate an alternative vision to Messianic Zionism in the form of human rights for all. 69% of secular Israelis in the Penn State survey supported the expulsion of Gazans, while 31% of them considered Joshua's extermination of Jericho's residents as a precedent that the IOF should adopt. Like, it's just, reading this is mad. And then you have people who like make excuses for Israel, and they're like, well, you know, it's just some bad apples. But it's like, hey, if your army has this many bad apples in, I think you're in a massive problem. is indeed the result of cracking shells, even if the ones doing the cracking were mostly not his actual supporters. The Hebrew media, the first shell, was always mobilised in support of the state, but it carefully maintained an aura of professionalism. Since October the 7th, it has pretty much abandoned this posture. Now many journalists have foregone critical coverage. Some have even joined the calls for revenge, expulsion and extermination. The judiciary once refused to openly declare Jewish supremacy in the land of Israel, and the right to expel, exterminate or starve the Jews' enemies, even as it supported the occupation. Ginsburg likened the judiciary to a stumbling block we must break with the derision and contempt of court. It seems that the second shell has also splintered, if it hasn't been so completely renewed. To take a lesson from the Bible, the tree produces enough rotten fruit, then you've got a rotten tree. Yeah, I mean, it's a rotten tree. It's a 100% rotten tree. What else? Also, letting the so-called bad apples stay on there instead of trying... They don't do anything. Like, you cannot be like a religiously fundamentalist country like this and just be like seen as like anything that's like respectable. Like, this is obscene. It is crazy. Oh, and also, this is part that I found mad. 2 months ago, Supreme Court Justice David Mintz rejected a petition by the human rights group Gisha to order Israel to supply humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. Mintz, a resident of the West Bank settlement of Delev, asserted that this was a war of commandment, just like in the Torah. Sorry? One of their Supreme Court judges lives in a settlement in the West Bank? It's just insane. It's just insane. Like, he lives in a settlement and is a religious fanatic. He effectively authorized the denial of food, water and medicine to 2 million Gazans. The ruling joined by Supreme Court President Isaac Ahmed and Justice Noam Solberg, a resident of the Alon Shavut settlement, is already taking its toll. Like, what? This is the Israeli Supreme Court, man. Sorry? You're saying it like a Canadian. Yeah, I am. I'm becoming Canadian. I have too many Canadian viewers. The education system, part of the second shell, has become a workplace where Jewish teachers promoting universal values risk dismissal. Arab teachers have long been familiar with this danger. Also, by the way, when Ethan Klein and all these people try and tell you, Israel's an equal place. And Lonabox said this as well. He said he went to Israel and realised that it was actually... free, actually free and justified, and there's a big gulf between the West Bank. Yeah, the expression of apartheid is different, but the key part is that basically, if you are treating people on the discriminating them on the basis of law, if your legal system is inherently weighted against them on the basis of their race, that's fucking apartheid. And people should have expanded the definition of apartheid to look at things like Jim Crow, and not just because of the segregation element, because black people were openly and still are in many ways are discriminated against on the basis of their skin color because people are racist against them. Last few streams have had crazy numbers for your following. Yeah, they are crazy numbers. This one's also got crazy numbers for like nothing in the title. Like, I'm really good. Maple pilled. Did you say male pilled? I read it as maple pilled. But yeah, I had some maple syrup the other day. I like Canada. I will probably be visiting Canada at some point in the near future. I will be visiting Canada. Scholars of education point to sharp shift in the curriculum's nationalist, ethnocentric direction since the Second Intifada. This is pre-Ethan Klein moving to Israel, and this is when Healer served in the IOF. And by the way, I will once again pull it up because I think it's so important to note. You can probably see my arse and I'm just like falling over. So that was a bit of I'm sorry for doing thirst trapping. I'm really sorry for doing thirst trapping. That was out of order. I deeply apologise for that. It was unintentional. I'm not like that stupid sexy Hassan guy who's tricked Ethan Klein by being sexy. So I've read this before, but it's in The 7th Million Israelis and the Holocaust by Tom Segev. And and basically, why haven't the number of watchers gone up when I when I was like doing that? Why were the watchers not going up when I was showing up, when I was showing off, when I was doing that? Where are you all? And also, if you haven't liked up the stream after that, I'm gonna be pretty fucking annoyed. I'm gonna be frank with you, because that was worth liking the stream for. But yeah, this is a guy called Ehud Prava, and he just said, after Kahana, in the wake of Kahana, we heard more and more about soldiers who, exposed to the history of the Holocaust, were planning all sorts of ways to exterminate the Arabs. Ethan Klein, proud of his wife's service in the IOF, by the way, which was after this point. You can literally read about it. Like, this isn't some fucking new phenomenon. Israel is a crazily racist society because they don't have any address to the Palestinian problem. They just settle their land and push away any meaningful solution. The Oslo Accords, right? The Oslo Accords. No colonizer has ever got a deal like that from the colonized, where the colonized say, we will accept 22% sovereignty on 22% of our historic homeland, and yet the Zionist project refused to implement it. It's fucking mad. And you just have, like, again, I will keep on reiterating this. Ethan Klein said he was proud of his wife's service in the IOF. Never let him live that down. He said that recently. He didn't say that. He said, like, yeah, all in all, ignore the context. I'm proud of what she did. Sorry? I said that again like a Canadian. Fuck. The educational system, but yeah, like, just reading this, it has led to growing support of expulsion and extermination, especially among those who completed their education in the past 20 years. Hila completed her education in the last 20 years. Actually, no, she didn't. Some 66% of those under the age of 40 support expelling Palestinian citizens of Israel, and 58% want to see the army follow the path laid down by biblical Joshua in Jericho. A generational gap in political positions is not an unusual phenomenon, but in Israel it has widened greatly since 2000. What has happened in the Knesset and the government also neatly follows the rabbi's prophecy, probably because he just read what happened in Germany, you know? Read more chat. What, you're just asking me to see my ass, so no more chat ever again. You're being rude. Is Ethan supposed to hate his wife? I don't think he has to hate her, but I think if you're not really repentant about saying, hey, I really support the Palestinian cause, well, he claims he does, but he's not repentant and says, like, Jesus Christ, that was awful. Are you the head of the constituency? I mean, you can be if you want, Tony Soprano lover. You are pretty much the head of the constituency. Some 66%, yeah, just like, look at this. I think if you study what happened in Germany, you'd probably find out a fucking similar thing. The settlers, see how multicultural and diverse. Well, that's the thing. It's like, Ethan, by the way, and this is the problem. Again, I will decry once again fact. If you look at just facts and go, well, no, this thing happened, so this means that can't happen. Okay, and one of the worst and most grotesque tricks that they all play is going, well, I actually think in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, there's really bad stuff going on. They always miss East Jerusalem. They always miss it, by the way. But, sorry, they always miss these, like, specific parts of it. But saying that you don't support that, when, like, Israel has done that for decades, it's pretty fucking mad, isn't it? Like, it's like saying, oh, well, I don't support most of what South Africa does, you know? It's ridiculous. But yeah, you want to vote for the head of the constituents. Well, I'm going to vote myself. Yeah, it is. Actually, no, it's a Christatorship. Yeah, it is actually a Christatorship. I have decreed that Tony Soprano lover has sent me helpful DMs, so they are the head. They are the head of the constituency, I'm afraid. They are the boss. They are the boss. You do live in a dictatorship now. You will not... Yeah. And I 100... Afternoon, elegance. I 100% believe that Israel has apartheid in it proper, but Israel is a structure. Zionism is a structure. It's not based on, like, oh, they did one bad thing, you know. It's not like just one bad thing that they do in a couple of places. It's all together. Unionized. I'm a union buster. If any of you dare unionize, you're going to be replaced by bots. They're all going to take your jobs. They will be taking your jobs. I will call up bots. You will all be sent to re-education camps until you start appreciating my content more. But yeah, like, it must be overthrown. And when a new one is established, it must be overthrown as well, and so on, until a Torah-based government is established in the country. Ginsburg could boast quite a bit of divine support after 5 elections in 3.5 years. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to finish the article. It's just, you know, kind of fucking mad when you see that. When you see that and you just hear, like, what people actually say about it. And make claims about and say, like, you know, oh... But also, by the way, once again, there's another fucking example of this exact same thing. Like, also, just look what actually happens in the... Chris, there's something I'm trying to look into more. There's the argument about from the river to the sea originally being Palestine will be free. Arab instead. Yeah, it's min al-maya al-maya, Palestine Arabiyya. Because I don't... How would you say free in Arabic? I know hurriya is... Hurriya... But, like, Palestine Arabia. But also, by the way, that is a demand to say that Palestinians will have control. And it also probably originates with the fact that Palestinians made up the majority of the inhabitants until they were expelled. And Israel welcomed over an obscene amount of immigrants to basically replace the indigenous Palestinians that they'd expelled. Al-Hara. Palestine Al-Hara. Yeah, I think it's also just in part like a chanting thing.
So
this is Ofer Kasif. I think he's actually been on Hassan's stream. Yeah, and I think what it means by Arab is that Palestinians will return to their land, rather than as opposed to it being genocidal in any capacity. Also, thank you, New Quinn. Have a good rest of the day. Francesco, I cannot read Arabic when it's that small. Hold on. No. I cannot read that. It's also mad because this guy, so the giant 6 is, it means 600. So it's the 600th day of the hostages being held in Gaza. Well, actually, they're mostly prisoners of war.
אתה אחראי ואתה אשם גם בשחיתות, גם בניגוד עניינים, גם בזלזול בחוק ובהפרתו.
Yeah, it's also just fucking mad that Netanyahu is so incredibly corrupt.
סדרתית, גם בבוז ושימת זיני.
He's posting a chant which I believe is just like illegal
מערכת המשפט.
In the UK.
המשפט והייעוץ המשפטי. גם בפשעי מלחמה, הרעבה והפצצת ילדים, גם בהקרבה מודעת ומכוונת.
Like literally just look at this. Every time anyone fucking starts chanting, says anything, you just have like a chorus of these people who just get up and go, no, we're just having a great time killing people. Like, look at this. Oh, he says, oh, you know, oh, no, you know, they're going to do this. I ask you to... So you just, like, you have to take a comment back because you said one thing against the state of Israel. It's genuinely mad, isn't it? It's genuinely unbelievable. And I mean...
Particularly in the...
And opposition to the war is growing inside of Israel as well. Among those speaking out, government and how it's...
So here's Ehud Olmert talking.
Been conducting this war is not new. You have been outspoken on that front for many months now. But going to this level and saying that Israel is in fact committing war crimes is something entirely different.
Yeah. Also, by the way, as you're right, like people are literally just chanting to kill Palestinians. Like that's all they want. They don't believe that they're doing anything wrong.
Different. I want to read from your piece. You said, what we are doing in Gaza now is a war of devastation, indiscriminate, limitless, cruel, and criminal killing of civilians. We're not doing this due to some disproportionate outburst by some soldiers in some unit. Rather, it's the result of government policy, knowingly, evilly, maliciously, irresponsibly dictated. Yes, Israel.
Yeah, I mean, that's also completely correct. Anyone who makes the claim that it's just because of... oh, thank you, Eliza. Thank you very much for watching. Bye, Chris in the constituency. Have a lovely day.
Is committing war crimes. So what has changed?
Thank you very much for the support as well.
In your view, and why are you speaking out publicly and globally now?
I'm worried I might be held accountable for war crimes.
Well, as you said before, I've been speaking for a long period of time, and I criticize the Israeli government and particularly the lack of any vision about what comes next. What are we going to do in order to end the war, release the hostages, and start to move it towards some kind of a political horizon that will start perhaps a process.
Also, I would love it if there was someone who was actually vaguely pro-Palestine and wanted to come up and debate me about the two-state solution, like rather than just having like a really hate-filled debate with, I don't know, some idiot like Mr. Box. I would love it if there was someone who was willing to have that kind of discussion, because I'm not so... Because basically, I don't know, I just think like... This is my problem. Like, he'll sit here and say these things. What is the solution? Like, the truth is, you can't let Zionism go on. Like, you can't. There are way too many religious fanatics who live in the West Bank who literally believe, who literally believe that if Palestinians are to get land, if the settlements are to be dismantled, that is an affront to God. They will fight. They will go against Palestine. They will do like... they will like kill people. They will fight against their own state. You cannot let that go on. You have to say, this was a really racist colonialist project, and you need to move towards something that is more equitable, that is not just about supremacy of Jewish people. Because, yeah, are you of the opinion the two-state may be viable as a transitional solution? But I don't know how, because also I talk about this in my new video. My problem with the two-state solution is, right, and if you want to read about this, neoliberal apartheid is perhaps the best piece of work. So, neoliberal apartheid, it talks about like the degradation of the Palestinian economy and all of these things. The decades of occupation has destroyed the economy in the West Bank, the Gaza Strip. It's led to the closure of the vast majority of mother of pearl, olive wood factories. There's no job, there's no stuff to do in the West Bank. So I don't know what you say. I don't know what you say. I can see that the start of your message says Shukran Chris. Khayli Mo Chakaram?
That will end the military confrontations. What happened, particularly in the last few days, was the statements made by Israeli cabinet ministers, the leading cabinet ministers, that say we should starve Gaza. What is it if not a war crime? I mean...
Also, once again... Uh-oh, I just clicked on Times... Oh, dear. I just clicked on Times of Israel. PC explosion incoming. This isn't it. Oh, fuck. I'm just trying to find the... here we go. I have ordered a complete siege on the Gaza Strip. There will be no electricity, no food, no fuel. Everything is closed. We are fighting human animals and we act accordingly. By the way, Mr. Moderate, Yoav Gallant, Hila Klein's favourite politician.
In how can a serious person representing the Israeli government can spell it out in such an explicit manner?
Yeah, I think I'm a believer because, look, I do think that I've met Palestinians who affirm this as well. I think the truth is you have to imagine some kind of future in which there is people living, like, living together, living next to each other, you know, living alongside each other. But that has to be accompanied by land back and serious reconciliation and de-Zionization, you know. I don't know how to speak Farsi. How do you say it? Teshakuram?
That we should starve Gaza, that there should be no supply of basic fundamental humanitarian...
Sorry.
In such an explicit manner that we should starve Gaza, that there should be no supply of basic...
Who is this guy? Who is that? I don't know who that is.
Fundamental humanitarian needs to...
like, I know that's Gideon Saar who's just there.
A couple of million people living there. They are...
How fucking dare you? How dare you, Draka Kills 21? Don't you ever mock Elon Musk in this chat. We are all fans of Elon Musk here. All of us. All of us. We love Elon Musk. He's a great man. He's going through a really tough time at the moment. He's going through a really tough time.
Terrorists that we need to fight, but this is not a war against Hamas. This looks more and more like a political war of the Israeli Prime Minister and
all of these people here support killing and exterminating. This is like a Nazi party photo.
Cabinet and the group of thugs which are now representing the Israeli government inside Israel and across the world are committing actions which...
Guys, Elon Musk has feelings. He's a great guy.
Can't be interpreted in any other way.
As we have noted, calls of condemnation and threats of additional sanctions and a reevaluation of trade.
Guys, I'm trying to go to the US. So I need to start, like, I'm doing my daily affirmations. I say I love Elon once a day.
Trade partnerships among traditional allies have now been dominating news headlines.
Thank you, Elon Musk. You are the rent payer. You are my best friend. You are the legend.
Over the past several days. I want to play sound from German Chancellor Merz on this as well.
Die israelische Armee jetzt im Gazastreifen.
What the Israeli army is now doing in the Gaza Strip, frankly...
Why do they choose to have an Irish guy go over it? Wouldn't it make more sense to have a German guy go on it?
I no longer understand what the objective is. To inflict such suffering also on the civilian population, as has...
I was listening to someone talk about this today. The problem with Elon Musk is he's so, like, weird and, like, unsexy, whereas, like, Trump is, you know, like, there's a lot of people who are, like, really libidinally attached to Trump. Like, all of those people who post Trump as, like, a really strong man, you know, like a big muscular man, who are like, oh, he's amazing, you know. A lot of people just want to, you know, have sex with Trump. Also, by the way, there's also, like, a major thing of this generally. Like, people quite like, you know, there's a sort of sexual element to Zionism. I don't know if you've ever sort of seen this, but there is, like, this video of someone called her name's Julia something. God, my search history. Searching big boobs ADL conference. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Here it is.
We're Jewish women.
This is such a weird video. This is such a weird video.
With big racks. Of course we're at an anti-Semitism conference.
We're Jewish women with big racks. We use our assets to combat anti-Semitism.
We're Jewish women with big racks. Of course we're the real freedom fighters.
Do you notice how, like, people say, like, we're so scared, we go through so much suffering, and then you post this. Like, you post this. Like, you're at an ADL conference, you know, the Anti-Defamation League, there to talk about the serious anti-Semitic threat, and you make a video where you go, we've got big boobies, and we hate, like, anti-Semitism.
We're Jewish women with big racks. Of course people keep coming up to us to ask us for pictures, to thank us for our advocacy.
big racks. Of course I'm wearing my Star of David and hostage ribbon.
Jewish women?
Because I think it is worth talking about. There's like this libidinal sexual thing about like Zionism, like this kind of like fascistic ideology, you know?
Big racks. The restrooms this way.
Like it just ends with going...
We're Jewish women with big racks, and I'm at this conference in hopes of finding my husband.
Like, what do you mean you're in hopes of finding your husband? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, what is this? Like, you are saying, oh, I'm here, and I hope to find my husband. Like, what? You're allegedly at, like, some conference where you're talking about the plight that you face in American society. I don't think there's an equivalent of, like, Palestinians at, like, an anti-Palestinian racism, or at, like, a protest going, I've got big boobs at the Palestinian protest.
Has increasingly been the case in recent days, can no longer be justified on the grounds of a fight against Hamas terrorism.
Also, I talked about this in my new video. This is weird, because Friedrich Merz is, well, actually, you know what? Isn't there IOF assigned wives? In a sense, yeah, there is. The Zionism is sexy stuff. All of this. There's like this libidinal attachment to Zionism. It has like this deeply weird, like, sexual element. And it's a colonizer ideology. So it doesn't mention it. Yeah, the IOF sperm retrieval shit is mad. The IOF sperm retrieval is fucking insane. Also, this video is definitely getting demonetized. Oh yeah, but you know Friedrich Merz, who's now having a little fucking cry about what Israel's doing? Like, honestly, you can't sit there and be like, I'm so sad about what Israel's doing. When the ICC, what did the ICC... Hold on. So, what are the reasons that they indicted? Hold on. The chamber therefore found reasonable grounds to believe that Mr. Netanyahu and Mr. Gallant bear criminal responsibility for the war crime of starvation as a method of warfare. Like, you know, you have Friedrich Merz, who now goes, oh, I think that it's really wrong what's happening in Gaza. How can you justify it? Like, he said that they would try and bring over to the state of, to bring people over to the state of, that he said he would try and bring Netanyahu and float the ICC warrant. You lost me on this one. I don't believe anyone legitimately... Oh, I think people do. I think you'd be surprised. Like, you've got to think, people make, like, these sexy images of, like, muscular Trump. Hold on. Look at this. Mr. Overprayed. I love how Trump destroys all alpha male masculinity account doctrines. No abs, pear shape, no V-taper, man boobs, no mewing, small hands, noodle arms. Like, and he's destroying all alpha male things. There's loads of them. I'll show you them. Mags, 1,000 likes. Trump still got it. Physical elite specimen for 70 plus. They were talking about this on Y Theory, which is a podcast I like. And it's just like, hey, like, Trump is an old man who probably wears, like, an adult diaper. Like, you know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And people are just like, here you go. Trump even did it himself. Like, look at this. I told you. And it has 500,000 likes. The people want sexy Trump AI slop. Sorry. I don't know if it is a tangent. I think all of this shit's relevant, you know. I think all of this stuff is relevant. I genuinely do. I think there's like this libidinal attachment to like these fascistic politicians. It's why they like them. And they talked about this today. There's a great book called Read My Desire by Joan Kopchak. It's pretty hard to read. But like she talks about how people loved Reagan. So like when the news media tried to get rid of Reagan, they'd show you like Reagan having a sex scandal, Reagan like doing something fucking insane. But people liked him because they saw the flaws, and they liked him for these sex scandals. Trump's sex scandals, they were talking about it. Trump does what he wants, you know, he grabs women, and a lot of his followers probably think like, oh, you know, it's like, it's okay, it's fine, it's like, it's fine, you know, like, he does the things that we all want to do. There are a lot of fucking perverted men out there who probably agree with, like, Trump shit, you know.
Been hear from President Trump, who has not gone to those lengths, but has said that the war should come to an end. When you have allies like that making comments to this degree and even threatening implications for trade relationships, what does that mean for Israel and it's increasing what appears to be isolation on the global stage?
Well, certainly it looks like it, and it's very sad.
I don't know if I want to listen to all of this, because he's not going to say anything that interesting. He's just saying, like, yeah, Israel's bad, and it's like, yeah, mate, little bit late on that one. I think a lot of people knew Israel was bad quite a while ago. I might also set up, like, a super chat goal. Hold on. I'll host a Q&A to celebrate. Get inspired with examples. I'll play a rhythm game without any sound. I'm not actually going to do that. I feel like you have to do something, so I'm not doing that. Have you seen Destiny's Israel video? What Destiny Israel video? I think there's a lot of it, yeah. Just got home from work. Hello, Noor. Good to see you. There's actually another topic I do want to move on to, which is ceasefire. Allegedly, Netanyahu has accepted a ceasefire. Oh, actually, there's one thing I want to talk about, which is the... Do you know all of these anti-Hamas protests that people are obsessed with? And they're like, yeah, there's actually like massively anti-Hamas stuff happening in Gaza, like massively anti-Hamas. As I say, I don't actually doubt that there is anti-Hamas sentiment in Gaza. Don't think it's implausible. But one of the people where this has mostly come from is a guy called Ehab Hassan. Hold on, I'll pull it up. And there's actually some quite interesting stuff to this. So he's been one of the key figures in talking about this. So he posted a video yesterday saying people in Gaza stormed one of Hamas's warehouses and found it stockpiled with food and flour. Hamas opened fire, reportedly killing 5. More details to follow. So he posted that, right? This guy posted it. Now, Ehab Hassan, if you look at his profile, it's mostly anti-Hamas stuff. He had a bit of a cry because people were calling him a collaborator. But literally, look at this. So Mohammed Shayadeh called him a collaborator. But the Israeli Foreign Ministry posted his video and said, this is Hamas's warehouse in central Gaza, full of food kept away from civilians. That's the fucking Israeli Foreign Ministry, right? And this guy is a Palestinian Christian, and it looks reputable. It comes from a Palestinian. It comes from, like, this genuine Palestinian guy who's, like, you know, he's actually Palestinian, you know, he's a guy to trust. And, like, this isn't the first time. Look at this. Ambassador Avi Feldklein. If you really care about the Palestinian people, listen to them. People in Gaza, while evacuating Khan Yunis, told the journalist filming them, record this and let these sons of bitches Hamas know. I have no doubt that that's possible. I have no doubt that that's fucking possible. But this is, yeah. Like, look, he's been one of the key sources of this, and people go, look, there's an actual Palestinian saying these things. You know, and I'm not denying it either. I don't think that there's necessarily no anti-Hamas protests, you know. I don't think it's not actually, that it's actually impossible. But what's really interesting about this, someone commented it on my tweet, and he's commented it in a few places. I'll just put it up. My tweet's now kind of fucked. Here you go. So, apparently he receives money from the Philos project. So let's actually check this. Oh my god. It's real. It's real. It's real. Look. The Catholic University of America, Michigan, Ehab Hassan. I mean, I kind of believed it, and then I was like, oh shit, I shouldn't just spread that. Wow. That's interesting. And he works for, you'll never guess who. That's from the Philos Project. And do you remember a few days ago when I spoke about that girl who I stitched, who said, oh, I'm not justifying child murder. She works for the fucking Philos Project. The Philos Project is like a Christian organization that like supports Israel, and it runs what's it called? Oh shit. So they sponsor this girl. Hold on, I'll just pull up my TikTok. I'll just get it up.
I love that every single one of these creators has
they
this grand conspiracy theory
this
that
girl. They sponsor this girl. They sponsor this girl.
Or...
This girl. So he's sponsored by the same organization that says that pays for someone who says this.
Just because you see images of dead children, as disgusting and frustrating and upsetting as it is, does not automatically make a war unjust.
I'm gonna say it. I don't know if you're it's not. I don't think it's like, oh, look at this terrifying thing. This is a fucking Christian advocacy group. You know, it's a Christian advocacy group. I actually just wanted to play her video without putting her name out, to be honest. But, yeah, like, she just justifies child murder. And he's the guy who's, like, the key source of this anti-Hamas stuff. Interesting as fuck, isn't it? The guy who's been pumping out this narrative. Okay, you know, doesn't necessarily discredit the whole thing, I have no doubt. But, you know... Sorry. Someone, I won't show it because they've got like no followers, but someone had a funny reply to my tweet. Yeah, it's interesting. So she works for Passages Israel, which is funded by, what's it called? And that's just like a little fucking anecdotal thing. I'm just like, I pulled it up for the sake of that. It's not insane. There's always a small amount of people who are willing to collaborate to make money, but you know, it's you know, it's, yeah. I'm just having a check if there's any, Oh, actually, I think we should probably, watch this.
Feroz Sidwa.
No, it wasn't a joke. It was someone responding to my tweet about Ethan, saying that I am jealous of Ethan having a wife and not being single.
I am an American trauma and critical care surgeon based in Stockton, California.
Oh, wait, this isn't it. This isn't what I wanted. Hold on. This is probably... I mean, go and check this out if you want, but I would rather watch The Ambassadors.
Unbearable. How could anyone tolerate this horror? Since Israel broke the ceasefire in March, over 1,300 Palestinian children have been killed, and around 4,000 have been injured. These are children, and still a war against barbarism. Children, dozens of children are dying of starvation. The images of mothers embracing their motionless bodies, caressing their hair.
And then it's literally just the Israeli ambassador going, there's lots of anti-Semitism, and nearly 2 years ago, 1,000 Israelis were killed. Like, okay, 2 years ago. 2 fucking years ago. And you've killed probably in excess of 100,000 people?
Talking to them. Apologizing to them. It's unbearable. How could anyone tolerate this horror. Excuse me, Mr. President. Flames and hunger are devouring Palestinian children. This is why we are so outraged as Palestinians everywhere, the 14 millions of us. Nothing can justify attacking civilians, whether Palestinians or Israelis. Double standards no more. We are human beings. We are proud Palestinians. We sit around this table. We should be treated exactly like everybody else.
It is just really heartbreaking. It is just really fucking heartbreaking, you know? And, like, you just compare it to, like, the show that the Israeli ambassador put on last year when he bought a shredder.
This is... You are shredding the UN Charter with your...
Like, this is the comparison. Hey, can you stop massacring so many children versus this guy who just goes, haha, I've got a shredder.
Own hands. Yes, yes, that's what you're doing. Shredding the UN Charter. Shame on you.
It's just, like, genuinely unbelievable that you, like, compare the two of them. Like, you just compare what's happening in Gaza, and you compare what's happening in Gaza and to this guy with a shredder, you know? Sorry, I'm just, oh my god. What is this? Sorry. What is this? So deeply weird. Sorry, I was just checking if there's any update for the next part of, like, what I want to talk about. Which is which is whether there'll be a ceasefire in Gaza, which I don't think there will be a ceasefire in Gaza, sadly. I don't think there's about to be a ceasefire in Gaza. Unfortunately, it looked like there was going to be a ceasefire, but it looks like it is going to be the exact opposite. Basically, I don't know if any of you saw this, so there are two important things to basically... earlier today, Netanyahu agreed to a ceasefire with Hamas, and the major problem is so this is reporting by Dropsite News by Jeremy Scahill. Sorry, they're trying to make me sign up. No need necessary. Hold on, let me just also close this. Oh god, I have so many videos of Sippy Hotter.
But let me tell you one.
Yeah, I'll just close this as well. Close that. Sorry, I'm just now on a tab closing spree. And now I've lost the actual document I wanted. Right, here we go. Oh my god! Right, here we go. So apparently, Hamas accepted a ceasefire a few days ago. Now, what was alleged is that... Now, what was alleged in a 13-point document was that there was to be a 70-day ceasefire for 10 living Israeli captives in 2 batches, half on the first day and the other on the last day. Hamas would also release the bodies of 16 deceased captives. Hamas said it needed a 2-week window to locate all the burial sites. A personal public guarantee from Trump committing to the ceasefire and the pullback of Israeli forces to their March 2nd positions. Hold on. a personal public guarantee from Trump committing to the ceasefire, and the resumption of unrestricted aid, including food, medicine, housing materials, and construction equipment, a cessation of all Israeli military operations, including surveillance actions, a cessation of all armed activities by Palestinian resistance groups. Witkoff would personally, as a guarantor, sign a ceasefire deal in Doha and shake hands with Khalil al-Hayya, who's the Hamas's lead negotiator. Witkoff would head the US delegation, which would also include Adam Boehler and Bahba. Trump would publicly thank all parties, including Hamas, reaffirming their his commitment to the ceasefire and a lasting resolution between Israel and Palestine. Upon signing of the ceasefire, an independent technocratic committee of Palestinians would immediately take charge of Gaza's governance, and reconstruction efforts would commence. By the way, that's not good. That's really bad. It's really, really bad. A technocratic government will not look after the Palestinians. It does not have their best interests at heart. It's just not true. It's just not true, you know? Basically, a technocratic government would basically just to look how to make money with the UAE. So I don't think that's even a good thing. But I guess it's Hamas have basically... I don't know also. Hamas won't give up their governments. Give up their weapons. I'm sure that they're happy to give up governance. I don't think they actually care about maintaining governance all that much. I think that what they actually want to do is give up their... Technocratic refers to like... the technical definition of it is... relating to characterized by a government or control of a society or by industry by an elite or technical experts. So it's just elite technical experts. So it'll basically just be businessmen is what I'm trying to say, and that's what it will be. Technocratic basically means that you're controlled by like a small set of people from the upper strata of society, basically. Kind of what the US is like. The US and regional mediators would guarantee continued ceasefire negotiations and aid entry after 70 days until a permanent ceasefire is reached. As long as negotiations continue, the US would remain committed to a ceasefire and to facilitating aid entry until a permanent peace agreement is reached. Now, I don't believe it. Now, the reason I don't believe it is, as I said on previous streams, if there is like a guarantee for the Palestinians to have for Israel to withdraw to end the assault on the Gaza Strip. Yeah, I googled it because I just wanted to make sure I got it correct, but it was actually exactly what it said. Yeah, it would be an Arab bourgeoisie basically. Even then, it's basically just individuals and elites doing it. Yeah, my PC is going technocratic. Too many tabs. I don't even have that many tabs. I had more open previously. It's probably that one of them's really intense. So Hamas initially proposed a 90-day ceasefire. So this is all Skay who's in contact. But also, Hamas will probably not accept today's ceasefire because of this part. So apparently, Hamas had agreed a release of... Hamas had agreed a release of Eran Alexander in exchange for some aid, and that just didn't change. Like, nothing changed about it, like, basically, is the thing. So it's kind of like, you know, how do you really reconcile that? How do you say, well, yeah, you know, it's the negotiations are worth it? I don't think it's necessarily true. They will never actually allow a government that actually there is stuff. No, and the Palestinian Authority taking charge of the Gaza Strip is just as fucking bad. The Palestinian Authority is an undemocratic entity. I also just think my PC is a bit cooked. For all of you people who tell me, oh, it's crime, I think my PC is just cooked, to be honest. I genuinely think it is. And sorry for doing a silly voice, but I genuinely think my PC is just done. I think I need to get a new one. I've had it for 6 years, so that's not too long, but yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at some idiot who's talking about, like, 60% of Gazans had work permits in Israel prior to October the 7th. Prior to 2005, and it's just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, the problem is that this doesn't look like a ceasefire, and what Israel wants is to carry on the genocide, and here's the problematic. So today, there is a new ceasefire. So this is Jeremy Scahill, Sharif Abdel Kudus, and Jawar Ahmad. And this is apparently what they're saying. So Special Envoy Witkoff includes a 60-day initial truce, a redeployment of some IOF forces, and an exchange of captives, including 10 living Israeli held in Gaza. It would also require the immediate delivery of aid, including by the UN and Red Crescent. Dropsite obtained a copy of the document labelled a term sheet by Witkoff. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu announced that Israel had accepted the proposal. So if Israel have accepted it, it's not going to happen. No. So the work permits are basically they got to go and work in Israel, but everyone acts as if that's like a good thing. That's not a good thing. It destroyed Gaza's economy. It's a very stupid thing. It's a very stupid thing. Like, to claim that it's like positive or anything, it's terrible. It's ridiculous. It's not true. Because why are you giving work permits? Like, people just need to have an economy and to be able to leave the Gaza Strip. You shouldn't have a permit to leave the tiny space that you were allotted by your occupiers. It's ridiculous, isn't it? But yeah, and then here it is. Prime Minister Netanyahu announced the accepted. We agreed to accept the outline that was conveyed to us. Netanyahu said, "We do not believe Hamas will release the last hostage, and therefore we will continue fighting until Hamas is destroyed, and we will not leave the Gaza Strip until all the hostages are in our hands." So it's like the basic premise of Israel is we don't believe Hamas will do something, even though we are basically unwilling to do anything about it. Sorry, we believe that Hamas will we believe that Hamas are not going to release the hostage, so we can't basically agree with them. Is there any hope left? I mean, I believe that generally Palestinians will receive liberation. It's just like the waiting is horrifying. You know, the scenes that unfold in Gaza are despicable. Like, they are truly despicable. You know. Oh, sorry, my nose. Oh. If finalised, the agreement will be personally announced by Trump and states that Trump guarantees Israel's adherence to the ceasefire during the agreed upon period. Yeah, there's the problem. They changed the wording to basically make it that Israel only has to adhere to it during the agreed upon period. Witkoff would come to the region to finalise the agreement, it states, and to preside over negotiations. Hamas confirmed it had received the Witkoff proposal and it said it is responsibly studying the agreement. There will be no agreement. There will be no agreement. No, I didn't fart. I was just moving my chair. It will happen. I'm not so sure. No, it wasn't a fart. I just moved my chair. You can go back on the VOD. I didn't. You can just move the chair. I moved the chair. I write this sincerely, not to be antagonistic, but it's a genuine cry. Where frustration levels are so heated, what the fuck, I mean, and people who represent us in the world, what do people do? Protest is the only thing I can really endorse. Protesting is the only thing I can endorse. Yeah, you can get a third party. Someone rewind the WOD, and you will find that I did not fart. I 100% did not. So say what you want. But yeah, it just doesn't seem like it'll work. So Witkoff said, "I have a very good feeling about getting to a temporary ceasefire and a long-term peaceful resolution of that conflict," he said, while standing alongside Trump in the Oval Office. Most concerning to Hamas, according to officials who spoke to Dropsite, a proposal contains a substantive amendments to an understanding Hamas announced it had reached with the US on Monday. This is the problem. Hamas reached an understanding, and by the way, this fucking happened under Biden all the time as well. Hamas reach an understanding, and then they basically say, "Oh yeah, we've just changed that understanding, you know? We've changed the understanding." So it's kind of just like very, very difficult to like say, you know, what can you really say? Like, Hamas say one thing, they have a reasonable ceasefire, Israel come in and torpedo it because they don't want a ceasefire. It's really hard to sit there and be like, yeah, is, you know, there's a, yeah. But yeah, like, it's hard because Hamas, basically, as I said the other day, Hamas wanted an end to the Gaza genocide, whereas Israel doesn't want to end the Gaza genocide. Israel wants to continually be able to resume the Gaza genocide, but yeah. So, hold on. Haaretz is reporting differently. So it's really hard to see. I can't see Hamas accepting it, but I think this is all teeing up again to then say Hamas hasn't accepted it and to escalate the genocide, basically. I think personally that is exactly what's going to happen. I think the Gaza genocide will just be accelerated once again, and yeah. It's but yeah, Trump reportedly set to announce Israel Hamas ceasefire in coming hours. is expected to announce, but how is he going to be able to reach it? So Al Arabiya is saying that it's been reached. It depends what we actually see. God, no thanks. I don't want fucking notifications for Al Arabiya. Where's Al Arabiya reporting this? It's not on their main website. I'll see if Al Arabiya is reporting it on Twitter. Oh, here it is. Al Arabiya sources, Trump is expected to announce details of the Gaza truce. Oh, so they're expected to announce details, and they're saying they announced the ceasefire. So that's what Al Arabiya has reported. I'll just see if there's anything different. Oh no, here's Witkoff saying something. After presenting Witkoff's proposal to Hamas and Israel, cautious American optimism for a breakthrough that might end the Gaza war. But again, it'll just be like the January one. Like, Israel is not going to end it. Israel is not going to end it. But yeah, like, again, the problem is I'd take I'm not going to lie, I'd take drop sites. Like, drop site is saying here, but it includes only vague language, you know? I think genuinely all of this is teeing up specifically to now say, well, we had a ceasefire, we had a really good ceasefire, and then Hamas didn't accept it because they want to keep going, because they don't want to release the hostages, because they're barbaric, because they're this, they're that. And it's like, well, I think that this is kind of like an intentional thing. Where were Reuters reporting it, or were they just reporting that Israel has accepted it? Because that's the news. The IOF will just break it, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, Hamas will demand changes, because they should demand changes. I've got to be honest. Like, and that's a reasonable thing to say. The Gaza genocide needs to end. Like, the problem is as well, you'll sate loads of Israelis who just want to carry on doing genocide. So, third humanitarian aid distribution center opens in Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Hamas says it is viewing. So, I don't know. It remains to be seen what we see. I'll see what Al Jazeera is reporting as well. Harvard. White House says Israel signed off on proposal sent to Hamas. Amnesty International says settlers displacing. Gaza Humanitarian Foundation a fig leaf aftermath of Israeli strike. Very risky, Palestinians stuck near aid distribution point. Chaos at Gaza. I mean, this is also just ridiculous. There's just more chaos at these fucking distribution points. But yeah, it's. And by the way, this is a report from an Israeli journalist. I'll just quickly translate it and then I'll respond to some things in chat. So here we go. Right. I can't see. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. And also, by the way, thank you, Lily. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support as always. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. Update thread from OCHA report last night. 200 aid trucks have been brought in and distributed since the resumption of aid. This is minimal. This is a minimal amount compared to the needs. Israel is severely restricting entry of aid and distribution, prohibiting distribution to families. Only 19% of the Gaza Strip is not under evacuation orders. 620,000 people have been displaced since March 18th. MSF, Médecins Sans Frontières, says there are no tents left and no space left for tents. I no longer know what to do when colleagues ask where they can go with children in the middle of the night. We have run out of options to stay alive. Severe shortages of feminine hygiene products. 700,000 women and girls improvising bandages are in health and mental danger. HWO? What is that? I think that maybe is Human Rights Watch. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Has documented 29 attacks on hospitals and medical facilities. Dozens of medical services points have been closed due to the evacuation orders. Two more comments. Avichai Edrei issued one of their largest evacuation orders of the war 3 days ago. 43% of Gaza Strip, including Block 87, where is the house of Al-Najjar, 9 of whose children were killed. As you may recall, IOF claimed that the family had to evacuate because there was an evacuation order, except that it was an old order, blah, 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 distributing food to families. But it's just basically, it's an awful situation. And it remains to be seen. Like, I do have quite a lot of faith in this, that this is such a different ceasefire deal from what Hamas said they wanted and what Hamas were willing to agree to. And so how can you sit there and act as if, oh, Hamas are rejectionists for not accepting it? It doesn't make any sense. It just does not make sense. It's totally unacceptable. It is totally unjust. And it is totally fucking ridiculous. I think it's probably a WHO typo. I think you're all right. But yeah. Actual Holocaust. Yeah, I mean, it's an extermination. It's a genocide. There's no other fucking way to describe what's happening. Like, it's a genocide. That is all it is. It is all it is. People say that we're on a brink. Mohammed El Kurd says we're on a brink of a ceasefire. I mean, I hope so. I hope that there's a ceasefire in Gaza. I genuinely do, and I hope it's one that lasts this time. But it's just, yeah, apparently Hamas did not respond to the ceasefire proposal yet, and I don't think they will. I don't think they will. I don't think they will. It's really hard to say. So Abu Bakr Ahmed, the negotiators who are in the room dealing with the American, Qataris or Egyptians, all these guys who are falsely portrayed as living in a Four Seasons hotel and sort of living high on the hog, have lost family members. Bassem Naim, one of the officials, his mother and sister were killed along with his nephews and nieces. His family is still in Gaza. Every single one of Hamas is watching as their family members are being killed in Gaza, or one by one or in groups. That is true. Powerful words from Jeremy, who has sat with Hamas officials. Yeah, I saw someone talking about this. That's like, someone said Hamas are also victims of the Gaza genocide. They're fucking right. Like, Hamas's family members are all being exterminated. Like, no one sits there and says, or every single family member of Benjamin Netanyahu, of the IOF soldiers, should just be massacred. But somehow that's acceptable when it comes to Israel. Like, it's insane. It's insane. So, I mean, I guess tomorrow will be the key day where I can actually report on a ceasefire and whether it actually comes into fruition. But it's really hard to know, and I don't want to say that it will, but I think it looks more like it. I don't know. Apparently there's joyful cries in Gaza, so here's Abu Bakr Ahmed, who's a Palestinian who was just in Gaza until very recently. Prior to October the 7th, Israelis would do... Yeah, there have been points where they've calculated the calories of people in the Gaza Strip. And yes, arms embargo now. Arms embargo right fucking now. Arms embargo against the state of Israel is the most necessary thing that you could possibly imagine. Israel should not be sold a weapon ever again. And by the way, as the dust settles and the amount of... The other thing is that as the dust settles, we're going to see the scale, or more of the scale, of the crimes that Israel has committed, and they will be even larger than you can possibly imagine. I think many of them have gone underreported. They have killed so many journalists. It's really hard. It's really hard. It's really hard. And there's just, yeah, it's just... Sorry, there's a clip that I've been wanting to watch on stream for a few days and I keep forgetting. Who's Paul? Who's Paul?
Anti-Semitism that is oozing off these people. If you can't see it, then we're basically just going, I mean, where are we going?
It feels like where it was during the war and the Holocaust. It's reminiscent of that time.
How is it reminiscent of the Shoah? How is it reminiscent of the extermination of Jewish people? Jewish people were exterminated for being Jewish people during that time. Also, my fucking chair. Jewish people were exterminated for being Jewish. It wasn't Jewish people weren't carrying out a genocide against Palestinian people, you know?
It's crazy to see.
Well, because
you can see how it happened.
How can you see how it you can see how it happened to Palestinians. You can see when a society is allowed to be incredibly racist, when their government continually permits over and over again, like, when the government continually permits transgressions, extreme violence, extermination of Palestinians, this is where you end up. That's how you end up there. It's not with a society where the government is literally fucking blackbagging people for, talking out against Palestine. And I'm sorry, that it's just utterly ridiculous to talk about that. You literally have a government that openly says that people will not be allowed to enter the country if they are anti-Semitic, and that's not even true. It's anti-Israel. They're now scanning people's social media accounts for anti-Israel content. You can enter America as like a rabid Islamophobe, as like an insane racist, but
always said, like, I have no idea how the Holocaust could happen. It just makes no sense.
How do you have... You should be educated to understand. It was like a society that was extremely racist and continually permitted increasingly transgressive racist actions against Jewish people.
And now I see it.
Seeing people wear a keffiyeh on my college campus quad is the same as my great-grandparents being put in camps, basically. I mean, also, yeah, it's just not fucking true. There's no comparison.
I see how it happens.
And just to say this to like your 30,000 followers is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Pretty good. I didn't know who Vanilla really was until this
uses to this day to stand.
Sorry, I'm just looking through to see if there's anything on Leftovers H3.
Oh, wow, there are multiple.
How many children have you killed?
Those are all the good ones.
Yeah.
If you've been online.
In relation to when he was conflating what you said the Jewish history in the Middle East, and he was like, what Israeli history in the Middle East? He was doing it on purpose. To say Israel, like, I think maybe it was conflating what you said the Jewish history in the Middle East, and he was like, what Israeli history in the Middle East? He was doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Israeli history in the Middle East, not Jewish history, Israeli history in the Middle East, Zionist history in the Middle East has literally just been expulsion and marginalization of Palestinians. That is literally it.
And he goes on to say Israel heritage is only apartheid, death and destruction, genocide.
That is what it is. That is what it is. It is dispossession, marginalization of the indigenous people. That's what they began with, and that's what they've continued to do to the modern era. Also, where is Rob Mortensen? I'm not anti-Semitic. My granddad fought World War II against the Nazis. After World War II, he rebuilt a house for Jewish people. I grew up with them. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't make you anti-Semitic.
That's all they are. And that is so dangerous.
Oh, I see you're talking about in the context of this. Of course it's not anti-Semitic. Of course it's not anti-Semitic.
That's one half of it, right?
Saying that.
Why is Gila dressed like Tupac? Because she's the modern day Tupac. What are you fucking talking about? Like, stupid ass comments. She is Tupac.
To me, it's like, okay, I need to watch my back everywhere I go because I'm Israeli.
Dude, Jewish people are
like,
afraid
that is so dangerous to say that.
So are Muslims. And in fact, Muslims are probably much more afraid. Like, Trump like openly talks about banning people from Muslim countries. And most Western governments feel comfortable saying like, oh, it's okay to do these things. Yes, Palestinians are getting wiped out and they have nowhere else to go. But what about Hamas? Exactly. It is ridiculous. Like, drawing equivalency between all of this stuff. Thank you again, Coffee Lover, for your incredibly kind support over all of these streams.
And I don't feel safe. And by the way, I don't.
I do not feel safe. Let me be clear.
As well, this just plays into the idea that, like, Jewish people are not safe on university campuses.
What would you say was the most...
Like, it's just ridiculous. It is utterly ridiculous. It is utterly, utterly ridiculous. It is fundamentally just untrue that Ethan feels unsafe. Ethan feels unsafe because he spreads horrifying Zionist propaganda. Like, that's just kind of the truth of it. Like, I don't know what to say. If Ethan didn't say these things, Like, if Ethan was willing to learn and talk about Palestine in a different capacity, then it wouldn't be this. It wouldn't end up this way. You wouldn't feel upset, because when people say Jewish history is of death and destruction, that's because they're talking about Palestine, because they're talking about what Israel does to Palestinians. They're not talking about Israel's. They're not talking about, like, you know, they're not talking about Jewish people generally. You're conflating the two. It's ridiculous. Right, I'm either going to go, or we can watch Benny Morris and Norman Finkelstein, because that will probably be very interesting, and I don't think there's any more stuff that I really need to, or want to react to be honest. I don't think there's anything here really left. But, like, yeah, I mean, it's just, like, I think you spew Zionist propaganda. People dislike Ethan and Hila because of Zionism, because of the fact that they love the Zionist project, because they're unwilling to confront the stuff that they spread, you know? Okay, we'll do the Benny Morris, Norman Finkelstein thing. I'll change the title. Mr. Bonelli! I hope he says that.
Blatant.
But yeah, I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous, isn't it? Right. Please 2 times speed when Norm is talking.
Head injuries, amputations, some are, many are burnt alive. Show me the gas chambers.
You spoke about
now by two people with very different views about the war, Professor Norman Finkelstein and Benny Morris.
I love how Piers said a few days ago that he thinks he's a genocide, and then just says over and over again, oh, I think it's now a, so did someone call her APAC Shakur? Mr. Borticelli?
Israeli historian. Well, welcome to both of you. Benny Morris, my main question right now for Benjamin Netanyahu, I put it to him on X.
What was it like when Loner Box and Destiny came to do a propaganda trip?
And I said, if you're doing everything by the book and everything is justified and everything is legal and you're not committing any war crimes or any of these things, I simply asked you one simple question. If you're doing nothing wrong, let international journalists go in and see for themselves. And I think it is completely shameful that the Israeli government continues to stop international journalists from doing their job. And it's down to the individual risk assessment will be...
They have also stopped Palestinian journalists from doing their job. I think that's kind of worth noting by just killing them.
By the journalists and their companies. It was put to me on 2-3 days ago by an IDF member that some house was being done for the safety of the journalists. It's not. It's complete nonsense. And that's not down to the Israeli government anyway to make that call. I mean, do you at least accept that it is wrong that journalists are not allowed in there?
I completely agree with you, Pierce. The government has made a terrible mistake in not allowing journalists in, and whoever dies there dies, but they should...
It's not a mistake, it's a systemic policy to showing that Palestinians, to ensure that, like, the vast majority of war crimes, we have to just only trust Palestinians who people have basically spent 18, 19 months basically saying that they're untrustworthy.
Should have allowed them in. But I would like to make a comment about what your previous guest was saying.
Oh, for fuck's sake, now I've accidentally opened Vegas Pro. Look what you made me do. Look what you've made me do. I can't even move it over to the other one. Bloody hell.
He said he spoke about...
The things I do for this fucking chat.
Objectivity or something. The man is a total Hamas propagandist. Half the things he said were outright lies.
Wait.
Lots of doctors have been abducted and... he said he spoke about objectivity or something, not allowing journalists in, and whoever dies there dies, but they should have allowed them in. But I would like to make a comment about what your previous guest was saying. He said he spoke about objectivity or something. The man is a total Hamas propagandist. Half the things he said were outright lies. Lots of doctors have been abducted and have disappeared is total nonsense. I know of 1 or 2 cases of doctors who were taken to an Israeli detention center. What happened to them afterwards, I don't know. I don't think they've been killed. I think they're...
Why would you say this? Like, honestly, this is the person that, like, people hold up as a serious historian. There are undeniably doctors who have been killed. Dr. Hussam Abu Safia is still held there. Why can't I remember? Adnan al-Bursh. Adnan al-Bursh has 100% been killed. Like this is just categorically true. I know of a couple. So he's implying this too. Adnan al-Bursh's life sat in a stark contrast to the charismatic... Like, he just died. He was murdered. Likely raped to death. He was found naked from the waist down.
Under arrest for whatever reason. But
so they could have been...
There's no reason. They never gave a reason. The same with Hussam Abu Safia. There's no examples of
many doctors have been... Many doctors
you're basically agreeing with him, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm saying that he talked about.
You just said you know of some doctors who were detained.
I know of one or two. I know of one or two.
But you're confirming his story.
No, I'm not. I'm confirming a small part of what is true. The rest is a lie, as is a large part of what he's saying.
You're right about Norman Finkelstein's eyebrows. He's doing the Riz face.
Had Israel...
Please have a tenner for the inconvenience. Don't worry, I'm only joking, Cyberspace Cat. I'm not actually angry at all, ever. Like, I'm not angry on stream. You won't see me angry unless I'm watching something. But, yeah, like, thank you so much for your incredibly kind donation. Thank you all for making, like, doing this possible. I'm really enjoying streaming on YouTube.
Wanted to kill all the Palestinians. That's what genocide actually means. There would have been many, many, many more deaths in Gaza.
But also, by the way, Benny Morris stole something. Benny Morris, well, he didn't steal it. So, basically, a Palestinian, I can't remember who it was. What's the name? Abu Sitter, something Abu Sitter. Cast Thy Bread. Basically, it's about this story about how Israelis used biological warfare against Palestinians, and Benny Morris reported on it in 2022. This was reported on Abu Sitter, Cast Thy Bread. Hold on, I'll see if... Salman Abu Sitter, Traces of Poison. So this was released. Salman Abu Sitter released this way before. Way before. Like, Benny Morris, yeah, he's good. But, like, there are Palestinians reporting on this stuff.
Each time Israel launches an air raid, we hear of the Palestinians saying 24 people have died, 30 people have died, and I'm sure many of them are civilians, but I'm also sure that the Air Force going in against these targets is attacking Hamasniks. We never hear from the Hamas how many of their people are being killed in these strikes. All we hear about and all we see on television is dead babies and dead women. They never show grown male, army-aged males being taken.
They do show a lot of that. You can see that if you really wanted.
Out of these ruins. And the Hamas uses these things systematically. They have the schools, the hospitals, various so-called safe compounds to hide in.
But out of interest.
Also, by the way, again, on this topic... This is Andrew Cayley, one of the ICC, and he's saying that claims of Hamas fighters have been grossly exaggerated. Like, and also, Israel has never been able to prove the evidence. Like, by the way, again, Israel has high-tech surveillance equipment. Where is, like, the evidence? Like, where is the evidence?
Out of interest, all right, but Benny Morris, when you hear someone like Smudridge last week...
Like, and also, the only evidence is, like, some fucking journalists being brought in with, by like, Israel.
Talking about the campaign to just clear everybody out.
He's disgusting. You don't have to convince me. He's disgusting.
Right, but so my question for you, but my question for you though is this: all right, he's disgusting. What he said was disgusting.
Yes.
What he said was also genocidal. So whereas you do not believe it's genocide what's going on, he clearly is talking in a way which made me believe that actually maybe the intention is genocide. It's
also quite weird. I don't know. Would you have a painting of yourself in your house? I don't know.
It may not be the death of absolutely everybody, but it means killing a lot of Palestinians and kicking the rest out of the area, and that is a genocide.
No. A genocide is something which is top-down government policy and carried out systematically. That's not what is happening.
Well, what's happening in Gaza then? Like, what is happening? Like that? What is that argument? Like, what? Yeah, they're starving them from a government level. They're allowed to kill. And also, by the way, whenever someone notes, like this Haaretz did it. I've noted this before. You can look this up because I think it'll only be on the fucking Times of Israel, which fucking explodes my computer. Israel Katz, who is the defense minister, right? Let me just check that. I think he is. Yeah, he's the Minister of Defense of Israel. I just wanted to get that right. He's the Minister of Defense. He meets with like the top generals in the IOF. Like they're the ones who do this kind of thing. Piers is not. Do not give this guy any fucking credit. He won't call it a genocide to this guy's face. And also, it's just very obvious that he doesn't fucking like think that actually about this.
He is definitely, some of his speeches are genocidal. I don't know what he means exactly. And there are other ministers who speak like it.
Tony Soprano lover, you are in deep trouble. You're meant to be head of the constituents. I pointed it out that Benny Morris has a painting of himself in the back.
And they shouldn't be doing that.
You've clearly not been listening well, Tony.
And they may even have a genocidal mentality, but they do not control government policy, and they do not control...
They do control government policy. By the way, anyone who says this, the Israeli Knesset works in such a way that Smotrich or Itamar Ben-Gvir can both collapse Netanyahu's government. So if Netanyahu doesn't do exactly what they say, he'll collapse it.
What the army is doing. That's done by the generals, and unfortunately, in my mind, by a man called Netanyahu, who's totally corrupt and incompetent.
Yeah.
The generals are fucking supported by the whole system of the IOF.
Okay, we bring in Norman Finkelstein.
It's got nothing to do with genocide.
Well, I think you're getting perilously close to agreeing with...
But why does it... Like, also, by the way, look at this argument. This is from, like, is one of Israel's most eminent historians, one of the best at denying genocide. Like, look at this argument. It's so fucking weak.
Me, Norman Finkelstein. I mean, the bottom line is, if it sounds from the rhetoric like a genocide...
Bilbo Morris, outrageous comment.
If the actions on the ground are becoming increasingly genocidal...
Okay, Media Mushroom is now making the outrageous claim that they pointed it out. Well, I didn't see it.
If there's no other plan being put...
Bro's taking the ring to Mount Doom.
...out there for what happens to Palestinian people, other than many more will die and the rest will be thrown out of Gaza, I don't know what else you end up calling this. And, you know, I listened to that doctor. I didn't hear somebody that I felt was a Hamas sympathizer or propagandist. He went out of his way to say he wasn't.
He's a liar. He's a liar.
Well, he's a liar who's lost 78 members of his family. So, I mean, Norman Finkelstein...
Maybe it's true, and I agree, and I feel sorry for him, but they're caught up in the bad situation where Hamas controls the population and is willing to sacrifice as many civilians as they can to win world support.
Well, which is exactly what Israel's also seems like they're prepared to sacrifice. Norman Finkelstein.
Well, thank you for having me on the program.
Well, Benny Morris said that, like, there was no overall order to expel the Palestinians. Like, no one has ever found that there was no overall order. That there was no, like, overarching order from the, Palestinian or the Arab leaders telling Palestinians to flee, which is what the Zionist claim was. That there was no, like, of them being told to leave, basically.
And I hope that you'll hear me out. Is it a genocide? Well, as you...
Chris taking credit for other people's accomplishment. Behave. Morgan did give Tzipi yeah, but, like, also, by the way, I would say, like, giving Tzipi Hotovely a hard time is not that hard, because Tzipi Hotovely, as I say, does not believe in, like, Jewish and Arab people having relationships.
No, Piers, from the first time I appeared on your program many months ago, I said it was a genocide. I said it was perfectly obvious when October 9th, the then Defense Minister Gallon said, we're not going to allow in any food, fuel, water, or electricity. Well, for a hermetically sealed population, that's a genocide. When the head of state, Mr. Netanyahu, compared the current situation with Amalek and invoked the biblical reference, it was clear, as the Israeli human rights organization B'Tselem put it, that he was talking about genocide. Now, in the 19 months that have elapsed, there have been adjustments in Israeli policy due to external pressure. That's called politics. So when the external pressures escalated, they had to diminish the genocide. And then beginning roughly when Kamala Harris was nominated...
Zippy Potbelly. Yeah, Mr. Bonelli, Mr. Morris, you're doing genocide denial.
...for president in the United States. And
Mr. Morriselli. Yeah, I'm stealing the valor right now.
All the cameras switched to the American election. Mr. Netanyahu, who's very sensitive to and knowledgeable of the American media, he then escalated the genocidal...
Guys, there's going to be... My PC is about to go crazy.
...assault on Gaza again. And then, as you remember, because I did several programs with you at that time, as you'll remember, every day there was another massacre. There were so many massacres it was impossible to keep count, and it was impossible to remember. Now, again, there was some lessening.
The first massacre was launched by Hamas.
Okay, I've not forgotten it, Benny. But you have to remember manners.
Do you know? One of my lecturers asked Ilan if he was going to watch the Destiny Norman Finkelstein debate with the one, and he said no because I couldn't listen to Benny Morris for 4 hours. There's no way I could put up with that man for 4 more hours of my life. I'm old.
I'll remember the massacres, and you remember manners. I'm speaking now. So there were times when Israel, as I said, escalated the genocide and then diminished the genocide. Now, let's talk about the responsibility and the mindset. You've mentioned Mr. Smotrich. I mentioned Mr. Netanyahu. There was also several others whose names have constantly come up.
It's also the whole of Israeli society, I think, as well, is just like the thing. There is a small amount of Israel that is against it, but I think that the vast majority of Israeli society is unequivocally in support of exterminating Palestinians.
Obviously, Defense Minister Gallant, who was indicted along with Prime Minister Netanyahu by the International Criminal Court. But it's not just the leadership. It's not just the leadership.
I also, by the way, I think, like, on this topic, like, any serious historian of the state of Israel should be willing to say, hang on a second, the ICC and the ICJ indicting Israel in any capacity is a clear indication of the fact of, hey, there is, like, something really, really, really wrong with the state of Israel. Like, with the state of Israel's conduct in Gaza. Because that is literally unthinkable prior to October the 7th. Like, the idea that Israel would be brought before them for the conduct of a genocide, for allegedly conducting genocide and war crimes on this scale is truly unbelievable. I mean, they got away with massacring 3,000, like, aiding and abetting a massacre of 3,000 people in Sabra and Shatila.
The most recent poll showed that fully one half of Israeli Jews.
There are like decent-ish Israelis. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Tal Mitnick's a good guy, and like other people who are like nice and kind who do genuinely want change. But sadly, they're a tiny minority. Israeli society has inculcated racism into pretty much everyone there.
We're talking now about the population. Fully one half of Israeli Jews believe that Israel should conduct a genocide in Gaza. That's what the poll results showed. 82%.
That's a lie. That is a lie.
I know.
It's a lie.
Benny, everybody's lying.
There's never been a poll about supporting genocide.
Mr.
This is nonsense.
Benny,
you're purveying lies.
Okay, Benny.
What is that poll, Norman? What is that poll, Norman? It seems a very important poll.
The poll
what is that poll you're referring to?
It was a university, if my memory is correct, it was a University of Pennsylvania poll. It was reported everywhere. Benny Morris knows about the poll. He's fully informed of the poll. But he's doing his job as an official Israeli propagandist.
I don't like.
It's also mad that, like, sorry, like Loner Box and Destiny went to Israel and like met up with Benny Morris. It's just like, you didn't really meet like any esteemed like Palestinian historians, and there are people there like you could have met. I don't know. Actually, they just wouldn't meet him. Probably anyone with like decent beliefs and such. Sorry, I'm gonna have to blow my nose because my right nostril is going insane.
Benny,
I don't like his government.
Benny,
I'm not their spokesman.
You've reduced yourself. Mr. Benny, you've reduced yourself to the level of a Holocaust denier.
He did it. He did the bit. He said the thing. Mr. Benny.
It's a real shame that you have sunk so low. But allow me to continue. The poll showed that 82% of Israeli Jews, 82% support a forced expulsion from Gaza.
That's not the same as genocide. That may be true. That may be true, but that's not genocide. That's not genocide. What you said before about genocide is total nonsense. Total nonsense.
You're going to have to ask Benny Morris to please allow me to speak.
Well, Benny, I will let you respond to this.
You're taking up all the time, though.
Yeah, Norman, you must.
No, Lonerbox didn't meet Baruch Goldstein. Baruch Goldstein got bashed up with a fire extinguisher in 1994. He met Yishai Fleischer, who was like the guy. Yishai Fleischer. Hold on, I'll show you. I'll see if I can find it by this. I can't find it.
He's getting all the time.
Okay, I will finish. I will finish. Then, one of the leaders of the opposition in Israel described Israeli soldiers as killing children as a hobby in Gaza. Now, yes, he took it back. He took it back.
Here you go. Wait. Here's the guy. This is the guy that Lonerbox and Destiny had like an awesome fun time with. Here's when they went to, like, look at this. Like, this is the guy that they were like shaking hands with and spent like a day with. And there's like a bit where one of them, Destiny, I think, has a bit of an argument with him. But like, I'm not gonna lie, if you're meeting with someone like this who if you're meeting with someone like this and it ends with you shaking hands and you saying you're like good friends, like, it's fucking mad, you know?
After he came under ferocious attack But he himself acknowledged, when I debated Mr. Morris about a year ago, and I said that Israel targets children, he laughed. He thought it was such a funny remark by me.
I'm
wondering, after the foreign doctors in Gaza,
It's like if I hit a child with my car and then the child and then I go, well, I don't target children with my car. I was just driving my car through like a playground, Israel bombs places where children are going to be. Therefore it targets children,
Foreign doctors.
I don't know if that was actually a very good comparison because Israel just intentionally shoots children as well.
In Gaza, attested.
If I shot children from my car,
that the children were being shot in the head and the chest, and when one of the leaders of the opposition in Israel said that the Israeli soldiers kill children,
I must let Benny respond. Norman, I must let Benny respond. Benny.
There has never been a poll asking Israelis whether they support genocide. This is a total lie, and the 50% figure is also something completely out of Norman Finkelstein's imagination, his twisted mind, actually.
Thank you very much, Karen Lamb. Thank you very much for an incredibly kind donation. First time I've caught your live stream. Brings me joy that so many young people are supporting Palestine. Indeed, I'm glad that there's a lot of young people, young people who've grown up supporting Palestine. And also, by the way, someone mentioned this again. I will reiterate that when I debated Lonabox said that it was outrageous and a bit bizarre to say that, what is happening, that Israel is a state that lies. Their foreign ministry was just willing to post, Hamas steals aid from a warehouse. That's just totally fake. I'm sorry, but foreign ministries of countries should not just be posting outright lies with no retraction.
Deliberately, and what this politician said, and he's actually a very clever politician and usually tells things straight and the truth, was a slip of the tongue, and he said, I made a mistake. I said the wrong thing and I shouldn't have used that phrase. Stupid phrase. Israeli soldiers do not target, as a rule, children. There may be, and I'm sure there are and have been, war crimes.
But also, by the way, actually, and this is also on the topic of the Great March of Return, to go back to that, Avigdor Lieberman, who's an Israeli member of the Knesset, I don't know what his actual position was at the time, hold on. By the way, Avigdor Lieberman was the Minister of Defense in 2018. So he said that Israel would just not comply with any investigations about the Great March of Return. Israel shot children then, they killed them. And if there's a policy where you say, well, we're not going to allow any investigations when we've shot children, well, what do you say? Well, what is that then? You allow the targeting of children. You intentionally target children.
Committed by Israeli soldiers and pilots, perhaps, in this war in the course of 19 months. But I don't think we should forget that...
And also, by the way, this is also just a mental fucking story. So Avigdor Lieberman, the guy who... So many clips of Israelis. Yeah, there are. I think the Israeli police have had to start preventing that. But you shouldn't just be able to prevent people from stopping and blocking aid trucks. If you get in the way of aid trucks consistently, by the way, that should be considered genocidal incitement, Hold on, let me just pull this up. So this is Avigdor Lieberman, Israel's former defense minister. So Avigdor Lieberman assaulted a 12-year-old boy at the settlement of Tekoa, bruising and threatening another boy. This guy beat up a child, and then his 12-year-old son told him that 3 children had hit him. Lieberman went in search of the alleged culprits and found one hiding in a caravan. Lieberman is said to have hit the boy in the face, causing him to fall. The minister then took the boy by his shirt collar and arm and drove him to his parents' house in Tekoa to complain that he had hit his son and allegedly threatened to hit the boy again should he ever return to Nokdim. He went on to be Israel's defense minister and endorse shooting children. It's mad.
Hamas is a homicidal, a homophobic, misogynist, totalitarian.
I'm gonna have to remove that message. I don't think you can do that in the chat. Please don't do that in the chat.
Organization which tried to kill as many Israelis.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal, so I'm not allowed to endorse illegal activities. So yeah.
They could, most of them civilians, on the 7th of August. And what befell Gaza as a result is revenge for that attack by the...
Cheers, Pierce, for correcting that.
Attack by the Hamas. And the Hamas said they would do the same thing again if they are revived and resuscitated as a leading organization in the Gaza Strip. And I think that's the objective of the Israeli army, to end Hamas rule and to end Hamas as an organization.
But, like, also, what happens when Hamas is ended? Like, Benny Morris is, like, allegedly this awesome historian who knows so much. What happens when fucking Hamas is ended? What happens? Like, Israel expels all the Palestinians?
In the Gaza Strip, and anybody normal who doesn't support Islamists, doesn't support anti-Semitism, doesn't support misogyny, doesn't support homophobia, should be against.
It's also like, this guy is held up as like a brilliant historian of Israel. This is slop. Again, Zionism is slop. Right to the very top, Zionism is slop. That's my new slogan. That's my new chant. Right to the very top, Zionism is slop. This is ostensibly one of Israel's best propagandists.
Against Hamas.
And he's just going, if you don't support misogyny and homophobia. Israel's engaged in all of those things, you know? Like, what is this? What the fuck is this?
Which Norman Finkelstein apparently isn't.
Yeah, but I don't hear people supporting Hamas certainly in mainstream media or anywhere else. Everyone's of a unanimity that what they did was unconscionable and they should be held to account. The problem is that the strategy that the Israeli government... Yes, I heard...
They still want to do and say they want to do.
Benny, let's just assume, because they said it themselves, in fact, the spokesman said it after October the 7th, that if they can do it again and again, they will. So they want to get rid of all the Jews in Israel. Okay, that is Hamas.
They didn't say that. They did not say that. Again, this is the problem. Like, Piers Morgan claims to be anti-genocide, and Hamas actively say that they don't want to do that.
Israel and of the state of Israel.
But the problem is, as I've always said from the start of this, what is a proportional response to what happened? And what is the end game?
Like, literally, Hamas present a new charter accepting it on the 1967 borders.
What does Israel actually want at the end of this? And I'm beginning to think they don't have any plan at all. That actually,
they do have a plan. Piers, their plan is to expel all Palestinians and to expel all Palestinians from the whole land of Palestine and to establish a Jewish supremacist state where only Palestinians who've forgotten about the concept of Palestine and are completely capitulated to Israel are allowed to stay. That's the fucking plan. It's quite an obvious plan.
They're hoping is that they can pursue the line of many of the more right-wing members of that cabinet. Maybe Netanyahu himself now has been traduced into this because he has no incentive to end the war, because the moment it ends, he'll be held accountable for allowing October the 7th to happen in the first place, which was hugely unpopular for him and the polls with the Israeli people. But secondly, he's facing corruption charges in a criminal court the moment this is all over. There is no incentive for him to end it. And so this carries on and on with more and more Palestinians being killed. And all right, you might have a belief that the IDF never deliberately target children, but they are deliberately and relentlessly targeting civilian areas, in their estimation, going after Hamas, but in the process, they know they are going to kill on a daily basis dozens.
Why are you even Wait, what did he just humour? Sorry, I was slightly unfocused for that. What did he just humour?
Estimation going after Hamas, but in the process, they know they are going to kill on a daily basis.
Hold on.
Palestinians being killed. And all right, you might have a belief that the IDF never deliberately target children, but they are deliberately and relentlessly targeting civilian areas, in their estimation, going after Hamas, but in the process...
What are mods doing? What are you saying about mods? What's going on about mods? Why do you need mods? Pastime is never illegal. Yep. You're right about that. What, debating A Up Lovely about who's the better Brit? I mean, he's Northern, he'll win. Benny and the Norm are star-crossed lovers, forever locked in Zionist slop debates. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're right about that. Is mewing with that one. What's the mods thing? What do you want mods for?
Process. They know they are going to kill on a daily basis dozens, if not hundreds, of innocent people as well, and that's been going on now.
I'm actually going to add maybe a couple of.
Week after week, month after month. And at some point, you surely have to concede that this strategy is not working. It's making Israel global pariahs. It's making Israel global pariahs. There is no evidence that Hamas is being dismantled. In fact, the opposite appears to be happening, where for every Hamas terrorist killed...
I say it quite interchangeably. Sometimes it's scones and sometimes it's scones.
They're apparently replacing them with multiple more people who share their ideology. Yeah. The hostages are not being released. God knows how many of those hostages may be killed now with these intensifying airstrikes. Israel now says it's launching...
I asked A Up Lovely to go on Scroungers and no response. I asked Matt Lee, but also don't spam these people. It's their choice. I don't care.
Israel now says it's launching a massive new attack. Well, okay, bully for Israel, but actually none of this seems to be working. And so at some point, I say, enough. Yes, correct me.
Okay, I understood that. Can I correct you on one small point? The Hamas kidnapped 251 hostages, most of them Israelis, some of them Nepalese, some of them Thai, on the 7th of October 2023. Of those, 177 were actually released as a result of the Israeli counteroffensive in interim arrangements.
Well, but this is also what fucking Douglas Murray says all the time. Like, he goes, oh, because of great kinetic force they were released. It's ridiculous.
They were released by diplomacy, actually. They were released from diplomacy.
But Israeli military pressure is what persuaded the Hamas, because they also
why is it not working now?
So what would Hamas do? What would... Hold on. So, by the way, also, like, take this in the whole argument. What Hamas really want is they're not saying we'll only release the hostages if Israel implodes itself. What they are actually saying is, if you lift the blockade on the Gaza Strip, if you release all the Palestinian prisoners, and if you actually give Palestinians some kind of negotiation, then they would release all of the hostages. Surely you can see that within the context of Israel and Palestine throughout its history, that is like the key problem. If there were actual serious discussions about stopping settling Palestinian land, about giving an equitable solution to Palestinians, that's much more reasonable than just constantly keeping 2 million people hemmed into a tiny space where they are just denied the right to live any kind of meaningful life.
Why isn't it working now?
It will work. I don't know. Firstly, there's only 20 alive Israeli hostages left in Hamas hands. I do believe that the government is incompetent in...
We don't know that.
We know
over 50 are not accounted for.
We know there's 20 live ones and assume 38 dead ones. That's what the Israeli
nobody knows for sure.
Okay, nobody knows for sure. The government now, which was incompetent and I think incompetently managed this war, that's why it stretched out for so long. Though don't forget, we also had a war with Iran and with Hezbollah, and we continue to have a war with the...
Wow, this guy's retro. He called it Hezbollah, which is no one calls it Hezbollah anymore. Everyone calls it Hezbollah. Does anyone actually know why that is? Because a lot of people used to write it as Hezbollah, but now they write it all as Hezbollah.
The Houthis from Yemen, so it's not just been Israel focusing only on Gaza.
But in the war, if I may say, before I go back to...
Yeah, Israel's not just been focused on killing civilians in Gaza. Piers, please recognise how good they are at killing Palestinians all over the place. Killing innocent people all over the place.
Norman, with the war with Hezbollah, that was
Now he's doing it, Hezbollah.
Scenario where Israel, in terms of military operation, brilliantly targeted 3,000 Hezbollah terrorists.
Oh my god. There were still huge amounts of civilian casualties. And by the way as well, referring to it as like brilliant targeting, huge amounts of civilians were killed by Israel's targeting. I'll always bring up that article. I'm not going to do it now, but you've seen it over and over again. But like when Israel said that they targeted a command center and just killed 70 people.
In a way that begs the question, why could they not have done a similar operation on Hamas? And I've heard all the excuses and explanations and arguments. But in one case, Israel has now, since October the 7th, 2020...
It's like saying, would you ever say that about, like, any attack carried out by other people? There is actually, by the way, there's an interesting story that I don't know if it's worth talking about, which I might talk about, that's just come up that not many people are talking about. This. How a spyware app compromised Assad's army. It's about apparently how this spyware app completely collapsed Assad.
Just launched endless strikes and assaults on civilian populations in Gaza, killing...
They did this in Lebanon too, by the way. Like, I like Piers... This is what I mean. Piers Morgan is just like a genocidal fuck. Don't give him any flowers for what he says or does. Piers Morgan is just as horrible as Benny Morris.
We don't know how many, but we know...
And like also, by the way, you can't have spent months just going, I'm a bit upset about what's happening to civilians, when Israel has always been this way.
It's many tens of thousands, including over 20,000 children.
Yeah, I mean, Druzilla, that I didn't want to say what you're saying. I didn't want to say what you're saying, just in case someone, like, clipped me saying it. And clipped me saying it. But, like, yeah, that's basically what the fucking same thing is, of going, like, yeah, that's a brilliant, ingenious act. Like, okay, like, they fucking tricked the US government into basically giving, like, letting them operate there, like, for decades, and they basically taught them that they had never had any flight experience. That's genius, you know, it's like, fucking hell. This is actually really interesting. I'll link it. There's just one part I don't get. Yeah, Piers Morgan hacked people's phones, so...
population with 50% under 18. And in their offensive against Hezbollah, which was incredibly successful, they targeted 3,000 terrorists with pages, which have got explosives in. There's a massive difference in the way that Israel's gone about these two.
No, there's not. There's not. Israel may have done that, yes, but they also carried out a fucking, like, you know, they also they didn't genocide in Lebanon, but they also they also hold the same desires for Lebanon, and they have done for years and years and years. The problems with Lebanon and Hezbollah are basically just related to Israel being a settler colony that displaces Palestinians.
To counter-terrorist operations, as they would put it. And I would argue the way they went after...
I agree with you, Laura. I think he is just trying to save face.
Hezbollah had
Piers Morgan hacked Assad's phone and it brought him down.
Global support in a way that the way they've gone after Hamas in Gaza is increasingly making Israel a global pariah. Norman, your response?
I agree with you completely.
Guys, there's awful news. France is banning smoking outdoors. I've just received a notification.
Two reasons for that. The first one is that the Hamas has systematically hidden behind civilians and in tunnels underneath civilian centers.
Are we having a monologue?
Norman.
With all due respect to you, Piers, I think there's a misunderstanding about what's been happening since October 7th. Once October 7th happened, it was a crisis for Israel. About that, there's no dispute. But it was also viewed, as the cliche had it, it was also an opportunity. And the opportunity was to once and for all solve the Gaza question. Now, from day one, it was perfectly obvious that the goal of Israel was to solve the Gaza question through three methods. 1, ethnic cleansing. 2, make Gaza unlivable. And 3, mass killing, mass death and destruction. Now, if you look at it from that...
You can see it in Benny Morris's eyes. He fucking knows this is true. Benny Morris is a man with too deep an understanding of Israel and its society not to know that this is fucking true. Like, this just is true. Like, what Finkelstein is saying here, and what everything shows, and once you gain an understanding of Israel historically and settler colonialism, what you kind of start to elucidate is... Hang on a second, Israel for the longest time has never had space for the indigenous population. They operate around the idea that Palestinians are a security issue, a problem, and all of these things. And yes, Mr. Morriselli, your camera is focusing. He looks like Bowser. He does look a bit like Bowser. Wait, hold on. Oh my god, he really looks like Bowser. Look at that. He could just be debating Bowser.
At vantage point, the operation has been hugely successful. I don't know why, with all due regard, and I do respect you, I don't know why you keep saying it's been unsuccessful. They've destroyed about 90% of the housing in Gaza. They've destroyed about half the hospitals in Gaza. They've destroyed about half the universities in Gaza. They've destroyed about half the arable land in Gaza. Gaza won't be habitable anytime in the next 2 decades, according to the best estimations by the international community, international organizations, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, UNCTAD, and so forth. It's been hugely successful. Where we're at now is the final phase. And the final phase is why all the rats, like the leadership in the UK right now, and the French, and the Canadian...
Hold on, I fucked up. I can't see chat. I love how he's calling them rats, though. He's fucking right. He's fucking right. You can't just all of a sudden, like, change your mind and go like, oh, I didn't actually support it. Like, the ICJ released what it said months and months and months ago, you know? This idea that it's, oh, all of a sudden I've seen something so bad there, it's so horrible. It's just not fucking true, is it? You didn't care when the same crimes, Israel was doing the same crimes months ago, and now all of a sudden, apparently, you care? Okay.
They're trying to jump off the sinking ship because they know exactly what Israel has in mind. We're now at the apocalypse,
this idea,
the final phase. Mr. Morris has written a lot about 1948 in Israel. And in fact, what's happening now is very similar to what happened in October 1948. If you read his books, which I have, you see a massive escalation of atrocities during the 1948 war as they're trying to finish the job. And now Israel is trying to finish the job.
Yeah, look at him. Look at his fucking eyes. Look at his eyes. He knows it. He fucking knows it. He knows it deep down. He is not... For whatever Benny Morris is, I think that Benny Morris was willing to change his opinion when he realised that life would be easier entirely. Yeah, like, thank you, Autumn Leaves. That's a nice message. Thank you for your support.
Job.
But yeah, I think he knows exactly what's going on.
Read your own Financial Times. It described very beautifully what this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was about. They were going to set up 2 or 3 distribution points in the south of Gaza. And then everybody from the north and the middle of Gaza would have to go to the south in order to get food or water or medicine. And then when everybody was congregated in the south, what do you think is going to happen? Exactly what happened in October 1948. there were going to be the massacres. You know what they were going to
say. Can I say something?
There was rioting. There was rioting at the food distribution centers. The IDF felt afraid, and then it started to fire. And then they hoped in one fell swoop they could send the whole population over the border into Egypt.
He likes to lecture.
It's perfectly obvious what Israel...
Also, Benny Morris spoke for way fucking longer, didn't he? Benny Morris spoke for way longer. Wait. I wonder if there's like a way to tell. Norman Finkelstein starts speaking.
is doing now. It's the last stage, or I should say, it's the final stage of the final solution.
Well, I mean, Destiny as well. Like, Destiny, Lonerbox, all of these people have no understanding of, like, the theory of Palestine. And they've just sort of collected information. And I think that there are people who tell them what to say. Like, I don't think they're being told by the Israeli government, by the way. I think that there are a group of people who really just help them, who help them with what they say, basically. Does anyone else think Norman Finkelstein is hot? Not so much.
And now some of the Western...
Wait, ban who? Ban who? You said ban who?
Leaders don't want to have to dirty their hands with it, so suddenly people like Lamy are discovering...
What do you want to say, Rasfar Pookie?
That it's intolerable, the situation in Gaza. Guess what?
Can I
it's
say
been
something?
Intolerable since October 8th.
Okay.
And thank you very much, Connie.
Final word, very briefly, to you, Benny.
As far as I've understood, that firstly, at the moment, there's discussions of a prisoner exchange and a ceasefire between Israel and the Hamas, which may work out and give the Hamas a breathing space of 60 days at least in which to reorganize and whatever. But the Israeli military plan, as far as it's been published, is to take over essentially 75% and maybe by the end 100% of the Gaza Strip and root out the Hamas, kill the Hamas people or get them to surrender and leave the territory, and to supply the Palestinian population in 3 centers, not just in the south, but also in the north, with humanitarian aid, if the Hamas will allow it to come through, because the Hamas have been taking most of the humanitarian...
It's literally, this is an eminent historian. It's just lies. It's just lies. Like, this is just an eminent historian. Like, genuinely a guy with credentials just lying. And I don't think that's actually that outrageous. I think he is just a liar. Like, it's just kind of like, you lie for money. It's sad, but I think you realise, like, at a certain point, Benny Morris is perhaps not talented enough to have made, like, a career, and wasn't willing to go full enough in rejecting Zionism, and so just ended up like this.
Lying, Benny.
Like, again, what is the evidence that Hamas steals aid? Sure, I'm sure that someone can find one piece that may be hard to deny in that microsecond, but on the larger scale, Israel does not have huge evidence of it. Why do you think Israel posted fake shit literally a day ago? Why do you think the Israeli Foreign Ministry lied? Like, you know, why do you think that happened? Hold on, I'll pull it up. Oh, it's annoying. Here you go. The Israeli Foreign Ministry retweeted a direct lie yesterday about stealing aid. Like, how does that happen? How does that happen if you are telling the truth? Like, how does that happen if you are telling the truth?
And so,
I don't like his tablecloth shirt, sir. Very cutting analysis.
And then selling it to merchants and making money.
I don't care. Like, I think the truth is that like, look. Put it like this. Israel controls the sky. It's like actually this as well. You know, you can hear all of this stuff and I can pull up an article which is someone going, Andrew Cayley going, there's not actually Hamas fighters at hospitals. Okay, tell me, please, I beg you, tell me, if hospitals are constantly used as Hamas bases, as Mr. Ethan Klein, Mr. Pro-Palestine would claim, 1, why are there no images? 2, why would that make any sense at all? Those hospitals are normally overwhelmed by people in the most horrifying situations. The hospitals can barely fucking function because there's not enough doctors there. There are a lot of international doctors, some of whom are not that pro-Palestine and would probably say, actually, yeah, there's fucking Hamas there. They can leave the place so Hamas can't threaten them. It's not like Hamas have ever done an attack on international soil and would go over and just like kill a doctor, but like kill like a random doctor who'd gone and helped the Palestinians. That would do nothing for their fucking credibility. But also, just quickly, on this topic, why would you have a command and control center where there were so many people running around screaming in the most abjectly horrible situations? It doesn't make fucking sense.
Money with which they can hire new fighters. That's what
the truth is. Yeah, but the truth is, Benny,
humanitarian aid.
Okay, Benny. The truth is, when you launch a 3-month blockade of aid going in, when you know kids are starving,
Did his face just drop? Wait.
Blockade of aid going in when you know.
Look at his face drop. Look at his face drop. You have to. I think, like, look, I'm not psychoanalyzing him, but literally look.
The truth is, when you launch a 3
like he's smiling, like look.
month blockade of aid going in when you know.
Like, it's one of the most insane... It is literally Nazi level of, like, in terms of a systemic blockade of aid on people.
Kids are starving. It's unconscionable. I don't care what you try and
starving. That's incorrect. There was a lot of food stores there for this period. Now they're reaching a stage at which there is famine and Israel has begun...
All right, I've got to leave it there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Norman, we've run out of time.
The whole world is lying. The whole world is lying. The World Food Program
except Norman
is lying.
Finkelstein. Except
Mercy
Norman Finkelstein.
Corps is
Everybody's
lying.
lying.
UNICEF is lying. The whole world, which says there's a massive starvation verging on famine in Gaza. It's all
literally like, yeah, you know, you've got Israeli propaganda, or you have Alex DeVille, London Review of Books, literally one of the foremost experts in starvation. You can read it here, like, honestly, you can read it here. And you could go and you could watch Norman Finkelstein, you could go and watch Lonabox, who'll give you an explanation of, like, well, actually, you know, pro-Palestinians are wrong about it, they're crazy, they like, say things that aren't 100% correct. But the truth is, like, look, here is an expert in starvation, and the things he says about what is happening in Gaza are atrocious. And I think that is all it boils down to. You can have these people who throw out, like, well, here's a fact that doesn't exactly match up with the entire narrative. Oh, fucking K! It will never undermine the fact that Israel has never been able to prove these things to the scale at which they are allegedly happening. And also the fact that it is just very obvious from the images.
All made up.
Well, one thing, listen, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be, Norman, you don't have to be an expert to know if you stop food going in sufficient quantities to a population that's already been at war since October 2023, and that many of them are young kids. They're going to start starving to death, and they will. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you both for
the food doesn't arrive.
Yeah, well, the food hasn't been arrived because there's been a blockade. We're going to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Benny is eating all the aid. Genius. Absolutely genius. Genius insights, as always. Right. How long? The Tippy Hottervelli is really fucking long, and I am starving right now. So I guess I could go get a yogurt and eat it on stream, but I don't know if I want to do that. I think maybe I'll call it here. I'll call it here because I've been live for nearly 3 hours. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to be live again tomorrow. 5 p.m. till 8 p.m. We'll probably know more about the Gaza ceasefire by then. I am literally starving. I would stay otherwise. But yeah, thank you all. Have a lovely rest of the evening. And yeah, shout out to everyone for being here.